From Newfoundland to British Columbia, good afternoon and good morning. This is Doug Maxwell in Toronto, along with Steve Douglas, Don Whitman, Alec Ponton, and Glenn Bjarnason, all set to bring you the 1961 Grey Cup game between the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We're still about a half an hour away from the opening kickoff, but there's plenty of activity here at the CNE Stadium. The teams are completing their pre-game warm-up, and in just a few minutes, we'll have the official toss of the coin at midfield between the team captains and the senior game officials today. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have been designated as the home side in this year's Classic. The Hamilton Tiger Cats officially are the visitors, and as such, Winnipeg is wearing their dark uniform. Hamilton, when they take off the heavy parkas, will probably have their light sweaters on along with the light pants. The weather for today's game is ideal. Earlier in the week, the weathermen indicated that a cold front would invade Toronto, producing temperatures in the 20s with cloudy skies and light winds. Then a couple of days ago, he revised his forecast, and while he kept the cloudy skies and the light winds, he indicated that the temperature would be a seasonal 40 or more, and at the moment it must be all of that, for perhaps even higher. The forecast this morning called for a temperature of 50 degrees in Toronto, so it could be a very seasonal day for football. Two teams down on the field at the present time warming up. To the left of your screen are the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and to the right, there's Winnipeg now working at the east end of the CNE Stadium. Our vantage point here on top of the CNE grandstand is on the north side of the field, so that the east will be to the left as you look at it on the screen. The west will be to your right. And at the far end to the right, you can see the Hamilton Tiger Cats preparing their limbering up exercises. Now, as the teams complete this warm-up, let's get an assessment of their respective strengths from Don Whitman and Steve Douglas. From Winnipeg, CBC sportscaster and football commentator who will broadcast the first and third quarters, Don Whitman.
Thanks very much, Doug. Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are going into this ball game minus their outstanding punter, Charlie Shepard, who has an ankle injury and is watching this afternoon's ball game. Shepard, of course, the outstanding ball player in the 1959 game. Also on the sideline, inside linebacker Dave Burkholder. As a result, Bud Grant has Gar Warren and Jack Delvo protecting the inside. Dick Thornton, a quarterback, is also sitting it out, as are Ray Ash and Jack Rizal. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are the home team in this afternoon's ball game. Whether or not that is a good sign will be known in about 2.5 to 3 hours' time. The Bombers have won 20 straight games on the road. This one, of course, not being played in Winnipeg, but for official purposes, the Bombers being classified as the home team. Doug?
Well, the two senior officials, Paul Dojak of Regina and Seymour Wilson of Hamilton, are moving to the center field stripe, preparing for the official toss of the coin. There they are. Number one is Dojak. Number two is Seymour Wilson. The remaining officials for the game, 6 in total. Number 2 umpire is Bill Nairn of Winnipeg. The number 3 umpire, Norm Maxwell of Hamilton. Head linesman from Regina is Taylor Patterson, and the field judge is Ray Boucher of Ottawa. We'll have that official toss in just a few moments. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, with the dark blue sweaters, large white numbers, gold pants with blue piping down the side. They're wearing blue stockings and the white sweat socks. This is your CBC Grey Cup telecast from the CNE Stadium in Toronto. And we're almost ready to go down to the field for the official toss of the coin. Paul Dojak and Seymour Wilson down there, chatting with Ron Howell and Bernie Ploen, the co-captains of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And now coming over for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, co-captains Herb Gray and Steve Patrick. That's Gray wearing number 53 and Patrick 63. Let's go down to the field level.
Okay, Mr. Ploen, Mr. Gray, Mr. Howell, Mr. Patrick, respective captains. Mr. Wilson from Hamilton, he's the senior umpire. We'll have Hamilton call the coin. Heads. Heads it is. Hamilton, it'll be your choice. We'll refer to you as whites, and we'll refer to you as blues, henceforth. So it'll be white's choice. Whites will receive the ball, your choice of end. You'll defend the west end. That's fine. Have a good game, boys. Anything you want to talk about?
Our quarterbacks.
Your quarterback, number 10?
Number 12.
Number 12, I'm sorry.
No, both.
Both 10 and 12. 10 and 12.
Whoever's
Okay.
in.
Number 61, your defensive captain, Mr. Barrow, Mr. Ploen, and Mr. Hull.
Or quarterback.
Or quarterback. Okay. Fine. Have a good game, boys.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, the team captains break, and the officials, Seymour Wilson and Paul Dojak, move away. And back to the end of the field go the respective teams. Now to get an assessment of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. From the east, the CBC sportscaster and commentator who will cover the second and the fourth quarters, Steve Douglas.
Thank you, Doug Maxwell. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers will kick off. That much we know from the field activity down there. And as soon as the clubs take their respective positions at the east and west end of the fields, we'll set that up for you. It will be the Bombers kicking off and the Ticats receiving. And so far as the Ticats are concerned, Doug, I guess the big problem they have had was to keep them very much up and very much alive off that tremendous comeback from an 18-point deficit that the Argonauts hung on them in the first game of the Eastern two-game total point series final. Coach Trimble and his offensive captain, Bernie Filoni, the quarterback, told us here a few days back that they had little or no trouble getting up, and the big splurge they produced in that 48-2 win in the overtime contest, the second game against Toronto, is a pretty good indication that what Mr. Trimble and Mr. Filoni said was right on the nose. Trimble has definitely dropped Tom Dublinsky from his ball club's lineup for today's game. Of course, George Scott is out after that unfortunate accident in which he broke an ankle, being hit as he crossed the sidelines after a long run back in the second Argonaut game. Mylan Wall has been dropped. Willie Taylor, there was a question until just about 36 hours ago as to whether Don Caraway or Willie Taylor would be in, but Don Caraway, who formerly played with the Argonauts and also played with Calgary out west, is definitely in the lineup, and Taylor is out. And Tom Moulton is the other man out of the Ticat lineup, which originally was 34 in number.
And now down on the field, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Marching band under the direction of George Houselander. And the Tiger Cat Majorettes under the direction of Dorothy Hurst, as we see some of the pre-cup show with the Tiger Cat band and Majorettes, the color guard as well. Well, we're delighted to be able to bring you this portion of the pre-game show with the Hamilton Tiger Cat Marching Band and the Tiger Cat Majorettes. just one of the two groups that are here today. The Canadian Football League Band will be here, as well as the chorus and the marching girls, along with the color guide, to provide all kinds of color for the 1961 Grey Cup game. The Tiger Cat Marching Band under the direction of George Houselander, the Tiger Cat Majorettes directed by Dorothy Hurst.
The group has changed its formation to a large H in honor of the Tiger Cats and will play the Woodchopper Ball.
Well, you probably heard the public address announcement that the large H on the field is in honor of the Hamilton Tiger Cats playing the Woodchoppers Ball. And I think a first as far as Grey Cup history is concerned, at least as far as I can remember. The public address also made an earlier announcement that there were no program changes. All of the numbers were correct. And that indeed is something for any football game. The Tiger Cat Marching Band and the Majorettes, and the crowd still filing in with the few minutes remaining before the game starts. The capacity for today's game is 32,651, which is somewhat less than the normal capacity here at the CNE Stadium. In order to avoid any repetition of previous incidents where small urchins invaded the field to walk off with the football, the Canadian Football League decreed that 484 of the track seats would be removed so that the only seats inside the track are reserved for the majorettes, for the bands, and so forth. And as you can see toward the right top side of the screen, the baton twirlers for the Tiger Cats have now got the flames all working here, flames at either end of the batons, and it looks as if they've got some of that Hamilton smoke from the steel mills out here, providing the spectacle for the fans.
That's entertainment.
Screen may appear to be pom-poms at the end of the batons are actually flames, and a brilliant precision routine by the Tiger Cat Majorettes. Filing into the stadium provide the majorettes with a fine round of applause as they drop the batons with the flames, or take them along with them, I guess. It looked as if a few of them were going to drop them. This is your CBC Grey Cup telecast from the CNE Stadium in Toronto. Back at the CNE Stadium in Toronto, the site of the 1961 Grey Cup game between the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Miss Grey Cup, Miss Ingrid Osmolowski, a 19-year-old Hamilton Tiger Cat who won the Miss Grey Cup title after a panel of 5 judges rated the girls on personality and poise, makeup and grooming, carriage and figure, suitability of costume, and overall impression. And obviously that overall impression is a very favorable one indeed. The winner, who was born in Dresden, East Germany, and obviously picks up the subtitle of a Dresden doll, has just received a new sports car as her major prize. Whether or not her selection will be an omen for the Tiger Cats in the game ahead is hard to say, but it is a matter of record that last year's winner represented Edmonton, who didn't fare too well against Ottawa in the game itself. This is the first time, thank you, Ingrid, that a Hamilton girl has won the crown. And from the other end of the field, the official party for today's game is approaching. The official party with the Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honourable John G. Diefenbaker, the Mayor of Toronto, His Honour Nathan Phillips, and the Mayor of Winnipeg, His Honour Stephen Juba. And in addition, the premiers of the two provinces, Ontario and Manitoba, the Honourable John Robarts and the Honourable Duff Roblin, are in the official party, which are proceeding to their seats. They will also be out at the center field when it comes time for the official kickoff. Next year, the Grey Cup will again take place here at the CNE Stadium, the 1962 Grey Cup, on December the 1st in Toronto. The CFL awarded that game a couple of days ago to Toronto and set the 1963 site as Vancouver. And here you see some of the officials at ground level, the Prime Minister and the Mayor of Toronto. Present for the official opening ceremonies. Being greeted by some of the CNE officials. There will be a number of outstanding players, of course, in the game today. Bernie Ploen, the Player of the Year, in action for Hamilton, while the top lineman of the year, Frank Rigney, will be present. Now, as the players come onto the field, let's turn it over to Don Whitman.
Thank you, Doug. The center for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, number 43, George Drucksmann. Playing right guard is number 64, Cornell Piper. At left guard, number 54, Rod Humanut. At right tackle, number 65, Mike Wright. At left tackle, number 67, Frank Rigney. At right end, number 77, Ernie Pitts. At left end, number 71, Farrell Funston. Halfback, number 25, Ray Yock. Halfback, number 29, Leo Lewis. At fullback, number 28, Jerry James. Also running out of the fullback in his first Grey Cup competition, number 35, Roger Hagberg. And the starting quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, number 11, Kenny Ploen. That's the starting lineup, Doug, for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
For the Hamilton Ticats, coming on the field first is number 46, that is Chet Mixa. Number 51, Hardiman Curitan, the right guard. Ellison Kelly, number 54, playing left guard. Big number 64 is Bob Minahane, the right tackle. Gino DeNoble, number 62, is the left tackle. Paul Decker, the big fellow with the big hands, number 75, the right end. And here's Prince Hal Patterson, number 77, the Ticats' offensive starting left end. Number 20, Carver Shannon, formerly with the Winnipeg club, now with Hamilton. Number 25 for the Ticats is Jerry McDougall. Larry Hickman, number 30, the next member of the backfield to make his appearance. Ralph Goldston, number 21. And then the Player of the Year, the Ticats quarterback, Bernie Ploen, number 10. That is the offensive starting lineup for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
The officials are being introduced. Paul Dojak, Seymour Wilson of Hamilton, the number 1 umpire. Number 2 umpire, Bill Nairn of Winnipeg. Number 3 umpire is Norm Maxwell of Hamilton. The head linesman today from Regina is Taylor Patterson. And the field judge is Ray Boucher of Ottawa. And you can see them down there listed 1 to 6 in that order. We have 5 cameras located throughout the stadium today to bring you the action. 3 of them situated on the roof of the grandstand at various positions. one down at field level, and the creepy peepee to go onto the field to give you some of the action for the official party today and for the halftime. Included in the official party is the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable John G. Diefenbaker, and as I mentioned to you, the premiers, the mayors of the cities involved, and of course, pretty well, Miss Grey Cup, Miss Ingrid Osmolowski from Hamilton is also out there. And we're set for the ceremonial kickoff, and who knows, with a good kick, we may be able to take off a few cameramen's heads the way they're there. They're within 5 yards of that ball, and it could well be that if we get a fast kickoff on the official kickoff, there may be a few damaged cameras.
Osmolowski, there is your official party.
Capacity crowd in attendance here at the CNE Stadium, 32,651, which is far below the record crowd set in Vancouver in 1955, 39,417. But in spite of the smaller crowd, there will be a record set from the financial standpoint, approximately $488,400, and there was the kickoff. We did get one of the cameramen who returned the ball. Takes a look at his camera. He's not too sure about it, but at least he got the kickoff. And the official party leaves the field. And the only people on the field after they've gone will be the color guard and the two teams, the two starting lineups for both teams. In the event of a tie, which is looking a little bit farther ahead, but in the event of a tie, there will be a 10-minute rest at the end of a game, followed by two 10-minute halves, changing ends, the teams will, in the 10-minute halves. No time of rest in between those halves. If the game is still tied, there will be a 5-minute rest, and then the whole process will be repeated.
And the British Motor Corporation band.
And now we're just about set for the national anthems.
And sing God
And we have the CFL band and the chorus, the color guard on the field, and the teams. Here are the national anthems. That we've been waiting for is here. The start of the 1961 Grey Cup game. The Western champion, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, against the Eastern champions, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And to call the first quarter, here is Don Whitman.
Thank you very much, Doug Maxwell. Hi, everybody. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers kicking off. The deep men for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Carver Shannon and Jerry McDougall. Performing the kickoff ceremony for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, number 27, Gordy Rowland. Paul Dojak, who has worked 5 Grey Cup games, is the senior official. He's the referee. 6 officials working the ball game, and it's underway. The bouncing kick comes down to McDougall at the 10. At the 25 to the 27. He's bowled over on the 27-yard line by Ron Latterell and Ron Needmore. So it's first and 10 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The ball on their own 26-yard line. A run back of 17 yards on that kickoff by Jerry McDougall. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers using a 5-4-3 defensive setup. First offensive play of the ball game. Bernie Ploen gives the ball to Shannon. To his left. Gar Warren, the inside linebacker, nailed him at the 29-yard line. It's a gain of 3 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It will be second down and 7 from the Hamilton 29-yard line. Hamilton breaking quickly out of that huddle and over the ball. Ploen likes this quick count. He's throwing to the sidelines. It's complete to Shannon. Shannon is across the 35 to about the 38. Nick Miller, the corner linebacker, tripped him up. It's good for the first down. The ball placed on the 38-yard line. First and 10 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Tiger Cats after the ball at their own 38.
Chet Mixa, the offensive center. Ploen gives to Hickman. He busts one tackle and fights to the 43. Steve Patrick, the middle guard, along with the defensive end, Herb Gray, came over to make the tackle. The 2 co-captains of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
And Gray made the tackle.
A gain of 5. It's second and 5.
And about 5.
The ball on the 43-yard line of Hamilton. Ploen gives to Goldston. He's trapped for loss. Mike Wright, the defensive tackle, flipped him to the turf. A loss on the play of about 3 to 4 yards. Make that 4 yards back to the 39-yard line of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It will be 3rd and 9. And a punting situation for the Ticats with 2 minutes elapsed in the first quarter. Cam Fraser will be punting to the Winnipeg team of Ron Latterell and Henry Johnson. Pretty good boot. Fielded by Johnson. At the 35, he's dropped. Larry Hickman was downfield quickly to bring him down. A 39-yard boot by Cam Fraser. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers go into their offensive formation for the first time. Hamilton will likely run out of a 5-3-4 defense. First down for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on their own 35-yard line. The left end, Funston, is split. Ploen is the quarterback. He's going to throw. Complete to Pitt. At the 40, 45, and is dropped on the 53-yard line of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Ron Howell made the tackle, number 28, after a 28-yard gain by Pitts, the right end who was cutting across.
Make the stop.
An injured ball player for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, limping out, is Ron Ray, and going in his spot is Ellison Kelly. Ray playing the left end position defensively. So as a result, Ellison Kelly will probably get some double duty action as he plays guard. 5-3-4 defense, first down Winnipeg. Lewis has it. Fumbled ball, but I think the whistle may have blown. Vince Scott, the middle guard, made the stop. Al Rogers, the corner linebacker, also came in.
No gain, second down.
Gain of about half a yard on the play. It will be second and 9.5. Number 28 is Ron Howell. 74 is Pete Newman. Howell converted to a defensive half position this year and has done an outstanding job. Second 9.5 Winnipeg, Ploen the quarterback. He's throwing the long home run ball. Pitts can't get it. Ernie Pitts was being covered by Don Sutherland and Garney Henley. Pitts, a real speedster for an offensive end. He tips the scales at 191 pounds, stands 6 feet 2 inches tall, and can pick him up and set him down. He's got plenty of speed, and the Bombers were going for the long home run ball. So it will be third down, 9.5 yards to go. On the 54-yard line, Jack Delbo dropping back to do the punting for the Bombers. Gets a pretty good boot away. It's taken by Howell at the 5, at the 10. On the far side of the field is knocked into touch by Mike Wright on the 19-yard line. This is your CBC coast-to-coast Grey Cup telecast. A 51-yard boot by Delbo, but a flag on the play. Offside Hamilton.
Offside. It'll be third down.
So it will be a 5-yard gain for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as they take the penalty. And it will be third and 4.5 from the 51 of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It's still a punting situation. Jack Delbo, number 23, is handling the punting. Again, another pretty good kick. Taken by Henley this time at the 10. And he's snowed under at the 13-yard line. Mike Wright was the first man downfield to make contact with him. A horde of blue and gold jerseys in there. A 43-yard boot by Jack Delbo and a 5-yard return. 10 minutes and 41 seconds remaining in the first quarter of this 1961 Grey Cup Classic. No score in the ball game. It's first down Hamilton. The ball on the Hamilton 13-yard line. The turf is in excellent condition. The quick pitch. Hickman has it to the 25. Mike Wright made the tackle for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Throwing a key block to spring Hickman loose was number 54, Allison Kelly, who plays the left guard position.
It's a pleasure for Mr. B.A. to wind up a season of football telecast by sharing and bringing the Grey Cup final to fans from coast to coast.
Hickman carried again, and Herb Gray, the defensive end, made the tackle. A gain of 3 or 4 yards. We'll wait until they unfoul them. It's on the 29. A gain of 4. It'll be 2nd and 6. Larry Hickman, the injured ball player. And going in is Don Sutherland, number 22. Hickman has carried 3 times for Hamilton for 21 yards, which works out to an average of 7 yards per carry. And Hickman appears to be having trouble with his ankle. Pinky Lewis and Jim Simpson, the 2 trainers of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, tending to the hurts of the injured ball player. A beautiful day for football. Temperature 50 degrees and very little wind. As the stretcher goes out to the field, Larry Hickman now on his feet. But he is going to require assistance from the turf of CNE Stadium. Fortunate break for the Hamilton Tiger Cats early in the ball game. 9 minutes and 41 seconds remaining in the first quarter. No score thus far. Steve?
Well, Don, looking down in the field with the glasses, Larry didn't seem to be in too terrible amount of pain. He was more mad and hurt in that respect, I believe. That would be the second bad ankle injury suffered by Hamilton backfielders, having lost George Scott in that final game against the Argonauts in the Eastern Finals.
Second down for Hamilton, 6 yards to go from the 29-yard line. The hitch pass to the sidelines is complete. Carver Shannon grabbed it, and Henry Jansen moved up from his defensive half spot to make the tackle. A gain of 1, maybe 2, will wait for the placement. It's between the 30 and the 31. A gain of 1.5 yards, so it will be about 5 yards to go on third down. Latterell and Jansen are back for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to receive this third down punt. Cam Fraser, number 71, will do the punting. A wobbly kick into short one. It's taken by Latterell. He's at the 50 to midfield, and he drives into the 48-yard line of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, with Cam Fraser, the kicker, making the tackle along with John Barrow. Latterell, who hadn't done too much this year in the way of a big average in punt returns, on that particular occasion had a good one over the season, 3.8 yards. He ran that one back 20 yards after a 37-yard boot from Cam Fraser. 5-3-4, the defensive structure for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Ploen flanks a halfback wide, fakes, he's got it, throwing, incomplete. Long pass intended for Pharaoh Funston. And covering on Funston was Ron Howell. 71 is Funston. He was an all-star in the Western Conference this year. And in this particular ball game this afternoon, the two ends of Winnipeg, Funston and Pitts, and the two ends of Hamilton, Patterson and Decker, probably the 4 top offensive ends in Canadian football. Bombers taking a little more time in the huddle than do the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Second down for Winnipeg. The reverse to Yock, who fumbles and manages to recover a big loss back on the 49-yard line. Pete Newman, the defensive end, came bursting through like a gangbuster to bring him down. Vince Scott, the middle guard, started the original rush. He's number 53. The ball was placed back on the 49-yard line of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
About 23 to go.
So it's a 3rd and 23 situation. Delvo, the punter. Another good kick. Coming down to Henley at the 8. He's stopped at the 20-yard line. Frank Rigney, who's chosen the outstanding lineman in Canada, he's number 67, made the tackle on Howell. A 52-yard kick and a 12-yard return.
First and 10, just about around 20.
7 minutes, 46 seconds remaining in the first quarter. No score in the ball game. And it's a first down situation for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the ball on their own 20-yard line. These two clubs are rated very much alike, both having outstanding offense and defensive teams. Ploen is the quarterback. He's going to pass. It's complete to Decker. This could be dangerous. Look out. And all the way for Paul Decker. Number 75, Paul Decker, galloping 90 yards for a touchdown. Gord Rowland made a great effort for the Bombers in trying to catch up with him. Decker, who looked just a wee bit weary, he's number 75 as he galloped down, dove into that corner for a Hamilton touchdown. The Ticats on a big play, and as we mentioned, both teams have considerable offense and defense, and there was a case of the offense being just a little too much for that defensive squad. The convert attempt by Southern is in there for a single point, and the score is 7-0. in favor of the Hamilton Tiger Cats over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with 7 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Steve, this one broke open in a hurry.
Don, there was a thought before the ball game that Jim Trimble might just insert a play in which he hoped to spring Decker loose. I know this sounds like second guessing, but a lot of folks were guessing on it because Decker all season long, as a matter of fact, ever since he's been up here with the Hamilton Ticats with those great, big, wonderful pair of hands of his, has been the fella who has been old Mr. Reliable on the short passes. Alec just made a note here. Looking at the field, he thought Baz Nagel might have been in a little bit too tight, and that enabled Decker, when he took the ball, to just sort of burst by him.
7-0, Hamilton leading Winnipeg. Chet Mixa will kick off for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Pardon me, Don Southern is dropping back to do the punting now. And back to receive for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Leo Lewis and Ray Yock. And the kickoff. Yock fields it at the 20 to the 25. He's dumped hard at the 35-yard line. In to make the tackle was Ken Kilree, along with Don Caraway. This is your CBC coast-to-coast Grey Cup telecast. 48-yard kickoff by Southern and an 18-yard return by Ray Yock. First down, Winnipeg. The ball on their own 35-yard line. Playing the quarterback. The handoff to Jerry James on the quick opener as he fights to the 40.
James, the ball carrier. Caraway.
Don Caraway, the inside linebacker for Hamilton, made the stop. A gain of 4 to the 39. It will be 2nd and 6, Winnipeg. And an offensive line change for the Bombers. Ed Kotowich has gone in at guard. Cornell Piper has shifted over to tackle, and Mike Wright will be playing strictly defensive football. Flanker wide to the left. The handoff to Roger Hagberg. He fights to the 45. Bob Minahane, the defensive tackle, who's going both ways for Hamilton, made the stop. 7-0 is the score. 6 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Hamilton out in front. Short of the first down by about a yard. Or perhaps just a little less, as they now call in the yardsticks. Paul Dojak, the head referee this afternoon. And this is the first measurement of the ball game. It's short. It will be third down for Winnipeg.
Your British American dealer is pleased to once again share in bringing the Grey Cup final to fans clean across Canada.
The Tiger Cats are alternating that defensive structure of theirs at times, going from a 5-3-4 to a 6-2-4, and on pass situations a 4-4-4. Winnipeg is gambling on third down. They trail 7-0. Straight ahead to James. He should have it.
James was the ball carrier. Scott and Minahane.
Again, they're calling for the chains. Minahane, the defensive tackle, was in on the stop again. Both clubs have big, rough, tough defensive lines. This is an important measurement. The ball on the 45-yard line of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And where is the tip of that football? Well, the Bomber fans breathe a sigh of relief and echo with the big cheer. It's a first down, Winnipeg. The ball just across the 45-yard line. Hamilton leads 7-0. 5 minutes and 33 seconds remaining in the first quarter. The big play for Hamilton, that 90-yard touchdown gallop by Paul Decker. Ploen rolls left. He's keeping. He's across the midfield stripe. Pete Newman, the defensive right end, made the stop on Kenny Ploen. Quite often you might see him do that this afternoon. Roll out either right or left. Motion those receivers further downfield and then keep on galloping with that ball. And again, it's another measure situation. They just made it, but enough to give Winnipeg another first down. The ball at midfield. The officials this afternoon, the referee is Paul Dojak, the senior umpire Seymour Wilson, the junior umpire Bill Nairn, the deep umpire Norm Maxwell, the field judge Ray Boucher, the head linesman is Taylor Patterson. First down Winnipeg at midfield. Double flanker to the right. Straight ahead to Lewis.
Lewis, the ball carrier, Caraway and Scott.
Don Caraway and Vince Scott made the tackle on number 29, Leo Lewis, who was chosen an All-Star in the Western Conference this year. The lights here at CNE Stadium in Toronto have been on since the start of the ball game. An overcast day here in Toronto. Fake pitch. The ball is fumbled by James. The call-up of players, we'll wait to see who got it, although I do believe James managed to pounce on it.
Scott made the tackle.
Vince Scott made the tackle along with Pete Newman. A pickup of about 1. It will be 3rd and 4. The ball is at the 49-yard line of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Back to receive for Hamilton are Ron Howell and Garnet Henley. Jack Delbo is the punter. A kick that goes off the side of his foot, bouncing over towards the sidelines. It's picked up by Sutherland, and he gets no opportunity to run as a very quick Ernie Pitts was down there to drop him on the 24. This is your CBC Coast to Coast Grey Cup telecast. A 26-yard boot by Delvo and a 1-yard return. Ploen gives straight ahead to McDougall. McDougall gets up to the 28-yard line with Jack Delvo, the inside linebacker, and the left defensive end, Herb Gray, making the stop. 53 is Gray. He, too, was an All-Star in the Western Conference. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers with 9 All-Stars. Hamilton Tiger Cats with 8. That swing pass to McDougall. He's caught for a loss by Herb Gray. Gary McDougall, number 25. Herb Gray, number 53 in the dark sweater.
Gray made the stop.
Back to the 25-yard line.
3rd and 8.
It's a 3rd and 8 situation.
25.
From the 25-yard line. Hamilton leading 7-0 with 3 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Cam Fraser is the punter. He drives a low spiral to Ron Lateral at the 45 up to the 49-yard line. John Barrow made the tackle for Hamilton, a 40-yard kick by Cam Fraser and a 4-yard return by Ron Lateral. Steve?
But Don, I just wanted to point out to the audience listening from coast to coast, if you're hearing a heavy sort of droning sound from time to time, we have a helicopter hovering immediately over the CNE Stadium here in Toronto taking pictures, plus innumerable airplanes who are just cruising by to have a look from upstairs.
7-0, Hamilton leading Winnipeg. The big play, that 90-yard touchdown gallop by Paul Decker. Ploen calls the signals, gives to Lewis. Lewis breaks one tackle, but he's grabbed by the foot by Garnet Henley and is dropped at midfield. A gain of about 6 yards for Leo Lewis. It will be 2nd and 4. 53, Vince Scott is a veteran competitor in his 15th year of professional football. 2nd and 4, Winnipeg. Hagberg has it. I think he's got enough.
Hagberg, the ball carrier. Tackled by
Don Caraway and Al Rogers made the stop on Roger Hagberg, but not before he managed to move the yardsticks as he dove through to the 50-yard line of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Hamilton has now gone into a 6-3-3 defensive setup, and they have been alternating considerably this afternoon. Twin flanker right, Winnipeg. The fake to Lewis. And Ploen is trapped. John Barrow was the fellow who bust through to make the tackle on Kenny Ploen. Ploen faked the give to Leo Lewis and was looking downfield for Farrell Funston. Ernie Pitts is the other end. He's number 77. Lewis is number 29. So it's 2nd and 15. The ball at the midfield stripe. Hamilton leading 7-0 with less than a minute remaining in the first quarter. Twin flanker right. The old Statue of Liberty play to Lewis. Look out for this one. Lewis got back to midfield but could go no further. Al Rogers played that Statue of Liberty on Lewis extremely well from his corner linebacking spot. It appeared as though Rogers had gone for the fake and started to move to his left. However, he immediately retreated his steps, came around the right side, and what appeared to be an opening for Lewis quickly closed up. Back to receive the punt, Garney Henley and Ron Howell. Jack Delvo is kicking on this 3rd down situation for Winnipeg. And a good kick. Henley goes back to his goal line to receive it. He's pushed into touch on the far side of the field at the 10-yard line by Ernie Pitts. A 55-yard boot by Jack Delvo and a 10-yard return by Garney Henley. The punting had been a bit of a worry for Coach Bud Grant with Charlie Shepard, who has been rated by Jim Trimble as the outstanding punter in Canadian football. Shepard is on the sidelines. Delvo is handling the punting, but except for that 26-yard effort, he's been doing a good job of hoofing that football. The seconds ticking off. This could probably be the last play. Ploen fakes, he's keeping. And he's upended at the 13-yard stripe by the middle inside linebacker Gar Warren as the gun sounds to end the first quarter. This is your CBC Grey Cup telecast from CNE Stadium in Toronto.
Starting the second quarter of the 1961 Grey Cup Classic from the CNE Stadium in Toronto, the Hamilton Tiger Cats on that 90-yard gallop. Ploen to Paul Decker, the big right end, leading the Winnipeg Blue Bombers by 7-0. The ball is in possession of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It is 2nd down and about 8.5 yards to go. It's on the Tiger Cats' 12-yard line at the west end of the field, directly in front of the goalposts. The Tiger Cats go with their spread. The first time they've used it this afternoon. Quick kick by Ploen. Ball lands at midfield. Rawhouse back for it, picking it up on the 47 and dumped almost immediately by Hal Patterson, number 77 of the Tiger Cats.
taken by Rawhouse.
47 yards on Ploen's quick kick. Sets the Bombers back just inside midfield on the 54-yard line. 1st and 10. The ball is halfway between the sideline stripes. We'd like to remind you that tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on most of these television stations from coast to coast, 30 minutes of highlights replayed for you on today's Grey Cup Classic. They split wide. That is Hagberg, who stumbled his way over the first man to hit him in there. That was Don Caraway, and Don Southern finally completed the stop on him. He advanced to the 50-yard line. The pickup is 6 yards. It is 2nd down and 4 to go. Ball is now 20 yards from the near sidelines. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers offensive backfield with Kenny Ploen calling the signals, number 11. Has Yock, Hagberg, James, and Lewis in there with him. And the shift is left. Hagberg is the ball carrier. Slid off the first man who hit, and that was Vince Scott, number 53, and Big Bob Minahan came in to complete the stop on him. And this will be third down and about a yard to go. For his elbow, stands on the 50. It's off another fairly good kick, but Howell comes up to take on the 11-yard line. 4 or 5 Winnipeg tacklers are in there. They converge on him and bring him down after he moved it back close to the 15. Frank Rigney on the 36-yard kick by Jack Delbo. It was brought back 4 yards, and the official spotted on the 15-yard line at the Ticats end of the field. Hamilton, in case you've just come along, wearing the light jerseys. They're moving from right to left on your TV screen, and here in Toronto at the CNE Stadium, that is from west to east. Patterson is split 10 yards from left end as Ploen starts to roll. He may run. He's on the move and banged out of bounds after he gets close to the 23-yard line. Man who hit him first was Cease Looning, number 73. The gain on the play is close to 7 yards. It is second down and 3 to go. Blue Bombers employing a 5-3-4 defense against the Ticats at the present moment. Alec Ponton mentioned a few moments ago that in the first part of the ball game, the first quarter, the Ticats' defense was very successful on a 4-4. Henley goes way wide as the only flanker for the Ticats to the far side of the field. Ploen hands to Shannon, looking for running room, can't find it. Dragged down, hit first by Delbo, and held right at the 20-yard line. A loss of 1 yard on the play. So it comes third down, about 4 to go.
Your neighborhood Mr. B.A. is proud to be part of Grey Cup 61, and he's been happy to help bring televised football to fans east and west all season long.
Latterell and Jansen are the deep men you see on the screen there. They're standing in the vicinity of the Winnipeg 45-yard line. Cam Fraser in to boot for the Ticats has moved back to his own 6-yard line. That brings a gasp from the crowd. Taken by Latterell, and he is immediately hit down before reaching midfield by Don Caraway, who got into him first. The boot traveling 43 yards, 6 yards on the run back. It's on the Blue Bomber 54-yard line. 20 yards in from the far side of the field. The clock here, which of course is unofficial but comes very close to being accurate, shows 12 minutes and 9 seconds left to play in the first half. Ticats 7, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers nothing. Ploen to Decker, a 90-yard pass and run play. There are flankers on both sides, just Ploen pulled straight back. He got away from 3 would-be tacklers, still on his feet. Fumble, and the Ticats picked it up. And that is Rogers, number 14, who is on the move down the sidelines. And he's hit out of bounds as he reached the 32-yard line. Caraway put a big tackle on Kenny Ploen, jolted the ball loose, and Rogers picked it up. Al Rogers was the man who got into the 32-yard line. Hagberg was about the last Blue Bomber that had a chance to stop Rogers as he was trying to get down into the corner for the second Hamilton touchdown, but Hagberg knocked him out of bounds. Decker is split 10 yards on the far side. There are 2 flankers out here. Ploen looks, shoots down, intended for Decker. It is incomplete. Bombers guarding on Big Paul with 2 or 3 men, principally Baz Nagel, number 26. That is Larry Hickman, the injured Ticat, who was carried off the field on the stretcher manned by the gentleman of St. John Ambulance in the first quarter, but he's now back on the Ticat bench. And obviously still nursing that injured ankle. Henley flanks to the far side. Golston comes out here, short flanker. The rush is on, and they've got him. They got him back to the 46-yard line. Steve Patrick, the Blue Bombers' co-captain, grabbed him by the jersey and hauled him down. It is third down and 23 yards to go.
23 to go.
With the kicking situation coming up and Cam Fraser having gone on the field from the Ticats bench, again Jansen and Latourelle. And Fraser is standing on his own 52-yard line. A wobbler that Jansen takes, Latourelle rather, and is brought down at the 14.5-yard line, from which point it will be 1st and 10. And this is your CBC coast-to-coast Grey Cup telecast. That kick by Cam Fraser of the Ticats traveled 36 yards. Latourelle lugged it back 6. And the nose of the ball is just short of the 15-yard line, Bomber end of the field. Plane number 11 calling the signals. Jerry James straight up into the left side of the line, met by Ron Howell, who moved up from his defensive halfback spot to make the stop on him. 28 against 28.
Howell and Caraway making the tackle. 2nd and 2.
In the offensive line for Winnipeg, they have Funston at left end, Rigney at left tackle. Kimmanook at left guard, Drucksmann is the center. Piper right guard, right tackle, and Pitts right end. And the backfield remains the same as we gave it to you a short time ago. Lewis is split on this side. Hagberg nailed hard by Ellison Kelly, who smelled that play out and drove in on him, and he had no chance to get moving.
Stopped by Kelly.
It is 3rd down, about 2 yards to go.
That was a real bone-crunching tackle by Ellison Kelly. You could hear the thump of leather all the way up in the press box. Larry Hickman, who you saw a moment ago, sitting on the bench of the Hamilton Tiger Cats with that bad ankle. We have the official word, a sprained ankle.
All right, Don. The Ticats are employing 3 men, 2 deep and 1 rather shallow, as Delvaux kicks and gets off a high wobbler that Howell takes at the 44. Starts this way. He's going nowhere but back to the 40-yard line before he is brought down. Funston was in on that, and so was Frank Rigney. Delvaux got off a 43-yard kick, and after receiving it, Howell lost 4 yards. Kelly, who made that fine tackle a couple of moments ago on Hagberg, had come in to spell off Minahan, who had been doing double service for the Ticats, and he certainly displayed his ability at that spot. The Ticats go into the spread, but Ploen is up close. And Ploen goes nowhere as 2 Blue Bombers got through. Steve Patrick was the first one, followed by Herb Gray. And they're putting a tremendously big rush on him. Don, I guess that goes on all year out west, eh?
Well, the 2 co-captains of the Bombers have had great success this year in rushing the passer. Steve Patrick is having a particularly fine afternoon, and I'm just wondering whether he's attempting to penetrate the tackle spot that Gino DeNoble is playing. The pregame consensus was that it possibly would be the vulnerable spot in the Hamilton offensive line.
Speaking of that line, it's Patterson, DeNoble, Kelly, Mixa, Curitan, Minahan, and Decker at the moment. Ploen shoots out here. It is completed to Jerry McDougall, who is up to the 33-yard line before he is hit down first by Gordy Rowland and Jack Delvaux.
Again this year, it's a real pleasure for your neighborhood Mr. B.A. to take part in bringing you Grey Cup 61.
3rd and 17 is the situation. Fraser's on his 20, and the Winnipeg receivers at their 35, Jansen and Latourelle. Bullet-like spiral taken by Latourelle at the 32-yard line. Away from the first man. Exhibits some fine speed until Al Rogers caught up with him going toward the far sidelines as he crossed the 45 and banged him out of bounds, and the officials will mark that down on about the 48-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Bombers in their own territory. A 44-yard kick and a good 15-yard return. 7-0, Ticats over the Bombers. 8 minutes, 10 seconds to the end of the first half. Hagberg carries, tries the left side, finds a hole big enough to give him 3 or 4 yards before he is brought down by Ron Howell. Howell moves up from his defensive spot, and in that Winnipeg offensive backfield at the present time, we have Ron Lattrell, number 31. Ball is on the Blue Bombers' 53-yard line. It is second down, about 4 yards to go. Power to the right. Lewis carries. He should have the first down before he is pulled to the ground by Bob Minahane, who upset him. This might call for another measurement. It might not. Ploen is having a look. Ron Howell, as the Ticats' defensive captain, has his look too. First down, no measurement is required. Frank Rigney, the lineman of the year and a great all-star out west, threw a fine block on that last play that enabled them to pick up the yardage for the first down. Funston split about 7 yards at left end. Ploen holds up, and there could have been a crisscross in that Blue Bomber backfield on that play as Al Rogers dived in to knock him down.
Ploen had a little trouble in grabbing that snap from center George Druxman. He bobbled it and then had to take his chances in trying to shoot up the middle.
As it was done, he got about a yard on the play, and we'll call it second down, 9 to go. Number 61 you saw calling defensive signals for the Hamilton Tiger Cats is John Barrow. Lewis splits on the far side. The flanker over here is Lattrell. Ploen decides to go. Gets across the 45-yard line. He was hit by Caraway first, and the follow-up tackle put on him by Bob Minahane, number 64. This will call for the measurement. About a yard short, Ralph Golston has come into the Ticats lineup, replacing Grant McKee defensively at a halfback spot. 6 minutes, 10 seconds remaining to the end of the first half. And a big, big halftime show on the field here for you. 7-0, the Ticats over the Blue Bombers. 90-yard pass and run play, Ploen to Decker in the first quarter. Lattrell flanked very wide on this side. Jerry James up to the 40 and maybe over for half a yard, which will be good for the first down. And this is your CBC Coast to Coast Grey Cup telecast. Herb Gray, the Winnipeg All-Star, has just come in. He is normally a defensive All-Star, has come in undoubtedly with a play from Bud Grant. He's moved in at left guard, number 53. We'll see. Ploen shoots for Lattrell, and he overshot him, but there is a penalty marker down on the field near the far sidelines. Offside is the preliminary call by the official who threw the marker against the Blue Bombers. Veteran Vince Scott and a relative newcomer to the Ticats, big Bob Minahane, put on a very good rush on that. On 3 or 4 occasions this afternoon, Kenny Ploen has fired for a receiver who was in the open or so close to it that had he grabbed the ball, it might well have gone for a TD, but he has overshot him. Now, Rod Himenuk has come back, and Gray has gone to the sidelines on the far side of the field. The Winnipeg bench on the far side, the Ticats on this side. It is second down and 10. The ball is Winnipeg's on the Ticat 39-yard line. Lewis flanks to the left. Lattrell, a short flanker on this side. Ploen throws a screen-type pass. He is nailed almost immediately. Hit in behind the line of scrimmage by Zeno Cars.
Zeno Cars played an excellent ball game against Toronto last week. And as Coach Jim Trimble stated, I dreamed that Cars would have an excellent ball game. Carr said, "I hope you dream I have another good one this afternoon," and that was a fine defensive move by Carr. James had no opportunity to run it off.
Don, they have just signaled 5 minutes to the end of the first half from the field. Delvaux stands on the Ticat 53, and the two Hamilton receivers are a yard or so inside. As usual, they are Henley and Howell. That is a pretty big boot. Mr. Delvaux gets away to Henley. He lost it. And very wisely covers it up immediately, giving up the single point. 46 yards from the line of scrimmage. And our scoreboard here in the Grey Cup will now show the Hamilton Ticats 7, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 1. And this is your CBC Coast to Coast Grey Cup telecast. 7-1 the Ticats, putting the ball in play, 1st and 10 from their own 25-yard line. Ploen shoots to Decker. At knee level, he lost it. Got his hands on it, but just couldn't pull it up. Being checked very closely by linebacker Gordy Rowland of the Blue Bombers. It was Ron Latterell, who was in fast for Winnipeg, when Henley lost that ball for just a moment, and then instead of trying to scoop it up and come out, the only touchdown of the game so far was produced on the identical type play that the Ticats tried right there, with Decker cutting in and going for big yardage, but not so this time. Complete to Hal Patterson. And he is pulled out of bounds at the 42-yard line by Henry Jansen. Patterson getting the first down for the Ticats on their own 42-yard line with 4.5 minutes left in the ball game, in the first half of the ball game. 7-1, the Ticats over the Bombers. Patterson's first reception. Goldston wide on the far side. Down the middle to Patterson again, into his hands and right out again. He was hit this time by the same man that he beat the last time, Henry Jansen.
On that particular pattern, Patterson is splitting about 15 yards and attempting to isolate Henry Jansen in a sense, and that's the spot that Hamilton Tiger Cats are attempting to penetrate right now, the defensive halfback spot being played by Jansen. He's a rookie at that position.
2nd down, 10 to go. Ticats ball. Winnipeg defense is set. Shannon flanks way out on the far side. McDougall on this side. Screen pass thrown and completed for a very short gain of maybe 2 yards, and there is now an interference call by one of the officials who threw a penalty marker down on the field, and the interference call is against Ellison Kelly of the Tiger Cats. Gray made the stop on Goldston. The play picked up about 3 yards, that's all. Referee Paul Dojak explains it to Hamilton Ticats offensive captain Bernie Ploen. Waiting to see whether or not the Blue Bombers may decide to decline this penalty. The discussion continues. Well, they're taking it. It moves the ball back to the Ticat 35-yard line. Presents 3rd down with 17 yards to go. Jansen and Latterell are down in between the 25 and 30-yard line at the Winnipeg end of the field.
17.
Fraser had a real big rush on him. Jansen upended at the 43-yard line. Don Caraway down low and down very quickly, too, to get him. 37 yards, that kick by Fraser. The biggest rush by the Bombers on that last one that forced Fraser to hurry that punt was by Steve Patrick, who has been infiltrating very well all afternoon. That interference call, by the way, was after the play had actually been completed on the screen pass to Goldston, and that produced a 3rd down and 17 situation when the Bombers took it. And Ledyard is the quarterback for Winnipeg at the moment. handoff to Jerry James. He tries the right side. Bob Minahane stopped him. Number 64.
With Ledyard now in at quarterback, I suspect that when Winnipeg goes into its defensive alignment, Kenny Ploen will move back into a halfback position, but just who he'll replace, Baz Nagel or Henry Jensen, is debatable at the moment.
Hal Ledyard, the former Ottawa Rough Rider quarterback, has sent Latruel wide on the far side. Could be looking for him. He is. He's completed it. Made a beautiful stop out there as he started to go out of bounds. Rogers and McKee came back to get him for the Ticats. Ronnie Howell went for the possible interception 3 or 4 yards in front of the receiver, Latruel. I can promise you that if Howell had ever grabbed it off, he was really gone. There wasn't anybody within miles of him. Ron gambled on it and lost the gamble. So it's 1st and 10 for the Blue Bombers. The ball is on the Ticat 43-yard line, 20 yards in from the far side with 2.5 minutes unofficially to the end of the first half. Latruel flanked on this side now, and Ledyard looking again. Very deep. Intended for Lewis. He's got it. And 3 deep Hamilton defenders nailed him all of a sudden. Southern was the first one to hit him. And then Grant McKee was in. But hold up. Hold up. There is a penalty marker on the play.
Steve, I think the Winnipeg Blue Bombers may have been guilty of holding at the line. Or is it offside? Offside is the call from head referee Paul Dojak. Hal Ledyard has to have one of the big success stories of this or any other year in Canadian football, coming from nowhere into a Grey Cup game with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And he lobbed that one down, and he's had excellent protection on his pass play.
I imagine he is talking to himself right now, Don. Rick Potter, former Toronto Argonaut, now with the Bombers, has come in replacing Jerry James in Winnipeg's backfield. The clock shows 2 minutes, 10 seconds to halftime. 7-1 Hamilton. Ledyard shoots out here to Ernie Pitts. He's got it, and he is upended by Henley almost immediately. And that should be sufficient distance for a first down, no questions. Ball on the Ticat 32-yard line. Alec, you've got a comment about this boy Hal Ledyard, I know.
Hal, Steve, is doing a terrific job of hiding that ball. On that play that Lewis got loose, Hamilton didn't even see Lewis downfield. They were all watching that ball in the backfield, and this is the key to a great quarterback.
Loose ball. Still loose. Finally, John Barrow recovers for the Ticats. And one Ticat is prostrate on the field, and that is Zeno Card. Zeno, who made the play, as Ledyard took the last look and took 1 second too long looking, came in from behind and creamed him, but in doing so, he racked himself up.
Ledyard was looking out into the left flat for that receiver. Cars came in at him from the blind side, and that leather all afternoon has really been popping down on the field. Cars hit him hard, and at the same time, I believe it was Big John Barrow who came through, and they had a bit of a collision as they went after the thrower Ledyard.
Well, Don indicating that he may be badly racked up. Not only Jimmy Simpson and Pinky Lewis, the 2 trainers went out, but Dr. Jim Charters, who is the Ticat club physician, was out there very, very quickly. And he is getting up ever so slowly. Glenn Bjarnason has the glasses on him, and he's a pretty groggy young man, Barney, isn't he?
Steve, when he came through, he dove at Ledyard. He was about 6 feet up in the air when he had that mid-air collision with John Barrow and Mr. Hal Ledyard. And a fine round of applause for a fellow who's been playing some fine corner linebacker, Zeno Cars.
Ticats ball, 1st and 10 from their own 43-yard line. The clock shows 1 minute and 35 seconds. Out here, completed to Henley, who gets across the 50 and out maybe as far as the 53 and could call for a measurement before Norm Rawhouse comes up to make the stop for Winnipeg. The referee, Paul Dojak, calls Ploen up to look. They will put the sticks in for a measurement. Don, you certainly pointed out a very evident fact here, but we can point it out all afternoon long. These two ball clubs, a great deal of opposition through the years. Man, they're playing hard rock'em sock'em football, aren't they?
They certainly are, Steve. It's a case of, as we mentioned earlier, probably one of the better offensive machines in the East against probably the best offensive machine in the West, and a similar situation with both clubs defensively.
Well, you saw the measurement. It's just a short bit short of a first down. Shannon flanks on the far side. Two men are out there. Ploen went for the yardage himself. He got it to midfield. John Barrow provided the blocking on Polone's move on the quarterback sneak as the minute flag has gone up. And we have less than a minute to go. Ploen, perhaps going for the big one, was rushed by number 73. That's Cease Luning of the Blue Bombers. Intended target was Hal Patterson over near the near sidelines. Rawhouse came up from a defensive spot for Winnipeg to guard on Patterson, but Polone's throw was rushed, and it fell about 3 or 4 yards short of him. Ploen shoots out to Ralph Goldston, who starts to move. He fell himself stumbling across the 45-yard line. He's got a first down at the Winnipeg 40, and the clock says 25 seconds left. Paul Palmer. Herb Gray is the man who tripped him up, actually. It looked as if Goldston would get moving. Here's a fast count by the Ticats, throwing way out here, intended for McDougal. He's got it, falls down, and got up to the 10-yard line. And the clock here is stopped for some reason at 10 seconds to go. With number 51, Hardeman Curriton, down on the field momentarily for the Ticats. Gee, those Hamilton boys certainly moved into that last play in a great hurry, and so do they on this one. Ploen looks, he throws in for Patterson. And interference is called against Rawhouse. Patterson, the intended receiver, was upset by Rawhouse about half a yard from the goal line as he reached for the ball. There you see the official with the signal. So the Ticats have first down on the 1-yard line, and the clock shows 5 seconds to go. So all you armchair quarterbacks, figure it out. Ploen lost the ball. He got it back, but he lost it on the fast snap, and the gun sounds, and the Ticats do not get the touchdown they were so very close to, and the first half ends with the Hamilton Ticats leading the Winnipeg Blue Bombers by 7 points to 1. Action-packed, to be sure, so don't go away. And this is your CBC Grey Cup telecast from the CNE Stadium in Toronto.
Here's the big play. The pass to Decker. He eluded his two would-be tacklers and is away, finally getting down to the end and literally diving in for the touchdown that made it 6-0. That score coming in the first quarter of play, and at the moment, the various members of the halftime show moving off the field. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have already returned and are bunched over by their bench. The Hamilton Tiger Cats are also ready to go. They're down by their bench on the north side of the field. Winnipeg at their bench on the south side of the field. We're located on the north side, the field running east and west. The east is to your left, the west to your right. And as we prepare to go into the second half, here's Don Whitman.
Thank you very much, Doug Maxwell. And right now, we're going to call in Alec Ponton for a bit of analytical comment on the first half of play. And Alec, I was wondering if you had possibly thought that the Hamilton Tiger Cats might try isolating their other end, Paul Decker, in much the same fashion they did on a couple of occasions with Hal Patterson.
I think so, Don. I think you'll find this half that Decker will split out like Patterson did, and they'll try to throw this slant-in pass to him that he caught against Nagel. I think Decker must have come back in the huddle and told Ploen that Nagel's playing me pretty tight, and I think we can beat him down the middle. And sure enough, Mr. Decker went 90 yards for a touchdown. I don't think anybody in the park thought Decker had that much speed, but Big Paul is 6'3", 220, and he moves very well. I thought the key of the first half completely, Don, was the defensive play. Very hard, tough football by both clubs. Now the players seem to be back on the field, Don. Looks like we'll have to cut this short, so back to Don Whitman.
Thank you, Alec. We're all set for the kickoff of the second half of Grey Cup 1961. The Hamilton Tiger Cats leading 7-1 on that thrilling 90-yard touchdown effort by Paul Decker, and the convert, and the single point by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The two gentlemen who were in the running for the Outstanding Lineman of the Year award, Frank Rigney of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who won it, and John Barrow of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, are playing opposite each other this afternoon. Their numbers 67 and 61. You might get an opportunity to watch some of that fine line play. They're hitting each other real hard. Back to receive for Winnipeg as Don Southern prepares to kick off are Henry Jensen and Leo Lewis. Ray Yock left the ball game in the first half with an ankle injury. The kickoff to Jensen. He bobbles it momentarily at the 20, 25, 30 to the 33-yard line. Don Caraway, who's playing the inside linebacking spot, made the tackle on Jensen, along with Al Rogers. A 53-yard kickoff and a 21-yard return by Jensen, giving the Bombers a first down on their own 33-yard line. As we have mentioned, Hamilton is shifting that defensive structure around, going from a 5-3-4 to a 6-3-3 on occasion. John Barrow calls the defensive line signals. Kenny Ploen is back in at quarterback, and the flanking back wide to the left is Jensen. The handoff to Lewis on the reverse. And from that 4-4 defense, Pete Newman, the defensive end, came through quickly to grab Lewis and flip him for a bit of a loss. The placement of the ball shows that it's a loss of 1.5 yards. So it's 2nd and 11.5. 7-1 is the score in favor of Hamilton. Twin flanker to the left. Ploen rolls left. Throws. Complete to Lateral. Lateral downed on the 43-yard line by Ron Howell. And this has been a pattern that Lateral has run on several occasions, heading for that left side and the sidelines, and he has been hit twice now with that pass. It's close to the first down. They're calling for the chains. In that particular play where Ploen completed the pass, he faked the run to his left side, which gives the defensive halfbacks a bit of a problem whether to move up or whether to stick right with the man they are covering. It is a first down, Winnipeg. The ball at the 43-yard line. 13 minutes and 55 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Capacity crowd at CNE Stadium. The temperature 42 degrees and very little wind. The left end is split. The handoff to Lewis. Look out for this one. Caught from behind at the 50-yard line by Al Rogers. Lewis, who is very adept at breaking a tackle, broke one at the midfield stripe, and for a moment it looked as though he might be able to go, but Rogers showed good speed in catching up with Leo Lewis, who is rated as one of the outstanding halfbacks in Canadian football. John Barrow calls the defensive line signals for Hamilton. Ron Howell, the backfield defensive signals. Lateral is flanked wide. The handoff straight ahead to Hagberg. Pete Newman making the tackle for the Hamilton Tiger Cats at the 45-yard line on Hagberg. A gain of 5. It's 2nd and 5. Hamilton has sent Ellison Kelly into the lineup in place of Ron Ray at the defensive end spot. 2nd and 5, Winnipeg. The ball on the 44-yard line of Hamilton. Lewis is flanked this time. James has the ball. He's got a first down. Don Caraway making the tackle on Jerry James, along with Don Sutherland. The ball is placed on the 37-yard line of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. 12 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in quarter number 3. Hamilton leading 7-1. Kenny Ploen, number 11, calling the signals for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Al Ledyard did go in towards the close of the first half in the quarterbacking spot, with Ploen dropping back to a defensive half position. Hagberg has the ball, and he drives to the 29-yard line. Ellison Kelly made the tackle, tripped him up. Some beautiful deception there by Kenny Ploen on that give to Roger Hagberg. As Hagberg picks up 6, it's 2nd and 4. The ball on the 31-yard line of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The Bombers have been moving with that ball. And the supporters of the Winnipeg team naturally hoping that they can continue to completion. James has it. He should have enough for the first down, or it will be very close. Garney Henley moved up from his defensive half spot to flip him to the turf. He got a piece of one leg, and they're calling for the yardsticks once again. Just inches short. And undoubtedly, the Bombers will be gambling on this third down setup. This is the closest they've penetrated all afternoon. On one occasion, it looked as though they were going to be close for a touchdown, but the pass to Leo Lewis, you'll recall, was called back. Hagberg dives into the middle of the line. He might just have it.
James, the ball carrier. Scott made the tackle.
They start unpiling them. Vince Scott, the big middle guard of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, made the tackle. Ernie Pitts is number 77. And it's a first down. Hardeman Curitan has gone into the ball game in place of Al Rogers at the right corner linebacking spot. First down, Winnipeg. The ball on the 25-yard line of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Lewis flanks wide left. James, the ball carrier, diving off tackle. Hamilton in a 6-3-3 defensive setup. Hardeman Curitan making the tackle on Jerry James.
Curitan and Ray.
Curitan wears sweater number 51.
2nd and 5.
Pickup of 5. It's 2nd and 5 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Make that 2nd and 6 as the ball is on the 21-yard line. A gain of 4. Lateral flank to the right this time. Ploen fakes. Rolling to his left. Cutting in to the 15-yard line. Pete Newman and Ralph Goldston brought down Kenny Ploen. First down for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The ball on the 14-yard line. Herb Gray had gone in with the play from the bench, replacing Ed Kotowich. Now Gray has gone back to the bench, and Kotowich is in there at the guard position. And the Bomber fans come to life. First down, Winnipeg. The ball on the 14-yard line. Lewis has it. He tried to cut back in, and his forward progress was impeded by Ralph Goldston. Then Scott also had a hand in that stop for Hamilton.
Mr. Jim Thompson of Hamilton report to the timer's bench immediately.
A gain of 3. It will be 2nd and 7. Herb Gray has come in again for the Bombers, and this time Rod Humanek heads for the bench. Ploen rolls to his right, looks. Incomplete. Don Sutherland was covering on the intended receiver, Ron Latterell. Latterell was in the end zone and heading for the sideline again. That time, Hamilton was in a 7-2-3 defensive structure, loading up that front wall, attempting to put the rush on the quarterback, Kenny Ploen. 31 is Ron Latterell in at an offensive halfback spot in place of the injured Ray Yock. And it's a field goal attempt for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Jerry James will attempt the three-pointer. Kenny Ploen is holding. It's up. It's good. Jerry James splits the uprights for a field goal for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as the Bombers march 66 yards from the kickoff to the Hamilton 11 in 13 plays. The score, Hamilton 7, Winnipeg 4, with 9 minutes and 14 seconds remaining in the third quarter. A first down for the Hamilton Tiger Cats on the Winnipeg 35-yard line.
Tiger Cats at their own 35.
Ploen throws complete to Patterson. Patterson dropped at the 50-yard line by Henry Jansen. And once again, as Alec Ponton was remarking just before the second half got underway, they are isolating Hal Patterson from that left end spot, and they're using that to good advantage. First down at the 50-yard line. The hitch pass to the sidelines is complete. Garney Henley fights to the 53 with Herb Gray making the tackle for Winnipeg.
Gray and Delvo made the tackle.
And a fine effort by Herb Gray. And now Kenny Ploen is coming into the Bomber defensive backfield. Henry Jansen is going out. A pickup of 2 for Hamilton. It will be 2nd and 8 for the Tiger Cats. The ball is located at the Tiger Cat 53-yard line. Ploen has gone back to safety, and Rawhouse has moved over to Jansen's spot. Ploen gets the rush. He's trapped. C. Sluning. And the big middle guard of the Bombers, Steve Patrick, who's enjoying an extremely fine afternoon, busts through to trap Bernie Ploen for the loss.
Third and 18.
Great defensive effort by the Winnipeg front wall, with C. Sluning just running over the man who was attempting to block him out. Third down in the punting situation with Cam Fraser back. A high kick. It's taken by Latterell. He tried to sidestep one man but couldn't do it. Zeno Cars was the fellow who tripped him up. And Steve Cars appears to have recovered from that blow he took when he drove Hal Ledyard to the turf in the second quarter.
Well, I'm happy to say, Don, that it appears with almost only one exception that the majority of boys who are racked up so very early in the ball game are back in action again. We're glad to see it.
First down, Winnipeg. The ball on the Winnipeg 30-yard line. A 39-yard punt by Cam Fraser. No opportunity to return it by Henry Jansen. Hagberg is the flanking back to the right. The pitch to James to the short side. He's up to the 35. Vince Scott made the tackle on Jerry James.
James tackled by Scott. 2nd and 5.
A gain of 5. It's 2nd and 5. The ball just across the 35-yard line. This is the 4th time these two clubs have met in the last 5 years. Winnipeg winning 21-7 in 1959, 35-28 in that thriller in 58. Hamilton came out on top 32-7 in 1957. So as Jim Trimble says, this is our turn. Deep to Pitts, incomplete. Ernie Pitts, who was way downfield, being covered by Garney Henley. They both went up for the ball and tipped it. However, neither could squeeze it. Pitts for the reception and Henley for the interception. And Pete Newman, the defensive end of the Tiger Cats, really bombed Kenny Ploen, the quarterback, just as he unloaded that long throw. Jack Delvo back to punt now on 3rd down, standing on his own 22-yard line. And he drives a low kick to Henley at the 30, fumbles, recovers at the 35, and is dropped on the 35-yard line by Ron Latterell. 6 minutes and 17 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. A 43-yard kick by Jack Delvo and a 2-yard return. Winnipeg trail Hamilton 7-4. Ploen drops straight back. Incomplete, intended for Patterson, who was standing at the 45-yard line. Gordy Rowland and Henry Jansen were over covering on Prince Hal. He had that one in his hands but couldn't squeeze it. Possibility there that Gordy Rowland, who was over covering, screened his view. 2nd down, Hamilton, the ball on the Hamilton 35. Ploen again throwing. Complete to Decker. Decker at the 45 is dropped on the 47-yard line. Gar Warren, the inside linebacker, made the tackle. One reason why they call Paul Decker hands. He put up the mitts and grabbed that one. And it's a 1st down, Hamilton at the 47. The handoff straight ahead. And that defensive wall of Winnipeg was not going to be penetrated on that occasion by Jerry McDougall.
Made the stop.
Steve Patrick made the tackle for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers along with Roger Savoy.
2nd and 8.
A pickup of 2 by McDougall. It's 2nd and 8. The ball at the 49-yard line of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Ploen is again in at the safety spot. Rawhouse has replaced Jansen as a defensive half. Complete to Ralph Goldston at the 45. Nick Miller and Norm Rawhouse made the tackle on the Hamilton halfback. And it's another 1st down for the Tiger Cats. Goldston, number 21, has the distinction of being the only ball player to ever be ejected from a Grey Cup game. That took place in 1958 out in Vancouver. The handoff to McDougall. He's across the 45 to the 43 with Roger Savoy making the tackle, along with Steve Patrick.
Patrick and Savoy made the tackle.
Winnipeg playing that 5-3-4 defensive alignment, and Hamilton has been driving straight up the middle. Second down for the Tiger Cats, and 8 yards to go from the 43-yard line of the Blue Bombers. Ploen drops back. Complete to Patterson. Going into touch on the near side of the field at the 23-yard line by Norm Rawhouse. A great reception by Prince Hal Patterson, obtained from the Montreal Alouettes. The fellow who injured his shoulder and had been listed as a doubtful starter as late as last Tuesday. 1st down, Hamilton, the ball on the 23-yard line of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Patterson splits out about 20 yards. Complete to Goldston. Goldston at the 15. He breaks away. He's got a touchdown. Those are Hamilton fans, even though you see the odd white hat. 75 5 yards. The Tiger Cats moved in 8 plays. That's the climax to that long march, the pass to Ralph Golston. And with 3 minutes and 27 seconds left in the third quarter, it's 13-4 for Hamilton. The extra point attempt, it's up, and Don Sutherland shoves the Hamilton Tiger Cats in front 14-4. This is your CBC Coast to Coast Grey Cup telecast. Alec Ponton, I believe you have a word.
Don, this was a great job by Ploen. He isolated his ends all the way up the field, splitting them wide, and then putting the pressure on the cornerbacks to cover the flare halfback, Golston. He had him flare in twice up the middle, and that last play for the touchdown, you saw him fake in and cut to the outside, and this was a tough job for any cornerback to cover.
Hamilton preparing to kick out to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Don Sutherland, who also handles the extra points, will be booting to Henry Jansen and Leo Lewis. Jansen grabs it at the goal line. At the 20 to the 23. Ken Kilry, the fellow who grabbed him and flipped him to the turf at the 23-yard line. A 65-yard kickoff and a 23-yard return by Henry Jansen. First down, Winnipeg. 3 minutes, 19 seconds remaining in the third quarter. The Hamilton Tiger Cats leading the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 14-4. Lateral is flanked to the right. The left end is split. The pass to Funston. Look out for this one. Ron Howell making a jersey grab on Farrell Funston at the 49-yard line. Funston was cutting in and showing a good burst of speed. He was driving. Howell grabbed him by the jersey and hung on for dear life and managed to pull him down at the 49-yard line. That was a similar pattern to the pattern that Paul Decker ran when he got that 90-yard touchdown. Plains throwing. Complete to Lateral at the 40. He's dropped on the 37-yard line by Zeno Cars. Both clubs have the ability to break a game wide open. First, Winnipeg marched down the field, got a field goal. Hamilton marched back, picked up a touchdown. Winnipeg is on the move. Twin flanker to the left. And he's dropped. Kenny Ploen looked down the middle. Attempted to take a second look, but before he could see what was going on, Vince Scott was in there to drop him. And Vince Scott is the ball player, just a little slow in getting up. 35 years old. He's in 15 seasons of pro football. Pete Newman is down in one knee now. Newman was an all-star defensive end in the Eastern Conference this year. 6 feet 5 inches, 220 pounds. A loss of 2. It's 2nd and 12 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Hardeman Curitan has replaced Newman at the defensive end spot. 2nd and 12, Winnipeg. The screen pass to Jerry James. At the 30, he falls and is dropped on the 28-yard line. Ron Ray made sure he stayed down.
Ray made the tackle.
Would be just a shade short of the first down, I do believe. Alec?
Don, I don't know whether you noticed it just on the screen there. If James had been able to keep his feet, Rigney was coming cross field with a tremendous block. He would have gone all the way for sure. Rigney almost killed James on the play.
Rigney has been known to throw some fine blocks as he's moving out of that tackle position of his. One reason he was chosen the outstanding lineman in Canadian football. The 3rd and yard and a half set up. The Bombers are gambling. Hagberg dives to the 25. I think he should have it. He has. Vince Scott again making the tackle for Hamilton.
The ball is on the Tiger 25.
Many a diver might be a little envious of that maneuver by Roger Hagberg, who jumped right over that defensive line. The long throw to Pitts. Intercepted by Southern in the end zone. However, Southern had stepped out of bounds in the end zone when he intercepted that pass intended for Ernie Pitts. Southern was on Pitts like a glove. 44 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers 10 points down in this 1961 Grey Cup Classic at CNE Stadium in Toronto before a capacity crowd. It's 2nd down from the 25. Playing the quarterback. The give to Lewis. Lewis fights to the 20. Hardeman Curitan was the Hamilton tackler. The ball on the hash marks 20 yards in on the far side of the field. 18 seconds remaining. 3rd and 5, Winnipeg. Herb Gray into the ball game, and going out is Ed Kotowich. Gray undoubtedly with the play from the bench, and the play apparently is the field goal attempt. A field goal, if completed, and a converted touchdown would give the Bombers a tie. And that might be Bud Grant's thinking at the moment. The kick by James is up, and it's good. So Jerry James splits the uprights for the 2nd time in this ball game, and it's now 14-7. Hamilton leading Winnipeg as the gun sounds to end the 3rd quarter. This is your CBC Grey Cup telecast from CNE Stadium in Toronto.
As we enter the 4th quarter of the final football game for 1961, the score 14-7 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Hamilton in possession on the 35-yard line following Jerry James' 28-yard field goal, his 2nd of the game. That brings that score to the 14-7 mark. And it looks as if we're in for a frantic final quarter of football. Here's Steve Douglas.
Bernie Ploen, according to Doug Maxwell's facts and figures, has completed 14 out of 19 passes this afternoon, which helps to spell the big difference. The Ticats go. Ploen fakes, keeps. It's hit on the line of scrimmage, and the first man who got to him was linebacker Jack Delvo of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, assisted by Gar Warren. The gain on the play is just under a yard. Make it 2nd down, about 9 to go. The ball is 20 yards in from the near side of the field. This is the north side. CBC camera locations. Telecast crew in the booth, high above the stadium. Ploen shooting out, completed to Tommy Grant. And Baz Nagel drove him out of bounds, and that is the first time that Grant has been on the receiving end of Ploen's passes this afternoon, and makes the 7th receiver that the Hamilton quarterback has used so far this afternoon. They move the ball into the hash marks. It is 1st and 10 for the Ticats from the 45.5-yard line. Chet Mixa, the Hamilton center, over the ball. Good fake by McDougall with Shannon carrying, trying the left side of the line over left tackle, short yardage. Gord Rowland came up to make the stop on him.
An interesting thing here is that Shannon is a former Winnipeg Blue Bomber, and there was considerable speculation here in Toronto about how Shannon might play against his former teammates and how the Bombers would play against Carver Shannon.
The Ticats started out this series the same way they did the last. Very short yardage, under a yard in the first play. Ploen throwing deep, intended for Patterson, just beyond his outstretched fingers. Number 32 is Henry Jansen, defending him for the Blue Bombers.
Tiger Cats onside.
Ploen this time had a lot of time to get that pass away, shooting for Hal Patterson way deep down the field. Marker was on the play, and the indication is offside against the Tiger Cats and refused by the Blue Bombers.
Paul Decker, the right end, jumped the gun just a wee bit and burst through into that Winnipeg secondary, probably half a count before the ball was snapped.
As usual, Jansen and Laterell, the deep pair, one of the two will take Fraser's kick. Cam kicks from the 35. Floater to Laterell. He gets back 6 or 7 yards before he is finally downed at the 36-yard line. The man who got him, the Ticats, first was Gino DeNoble, then Tommy Moran. 34 yards, the kick by Fraser, and it was a 6-yard run back. So it is the Bombers' ball, 1st and 10 from Winnipeg's 36-yard line. 13 minutes remaining on the clock in the ball game. 14 for the Ticats, 7 for the Blue Bombers. 2 touchdowns on passes for Hamilton, both converted. A single and 2 field goals for Winnipeg. Kenny Ploen on the fast handoff to Hagberg, who shook himself loose nicely as he hit the first wave of defenders and ran into Ron Ray finally, along with Vinnie Scott.
Made the tackle. 2nd and 2.
Pete Newman, who was banged around in the last quarter, is back in the ball game for Hamilton at defensive right end. The power is right for the Blue Bombers on this one. This is Lewis, following good blocking, galloping, and Henley's after him, holds him up long enough for Don Southern to come along, and man, they had a whale of a time containing that boy. The old Lincoln locomotive, Don, certainly does move.
Well, Leo can pick him up and set him down with the best of them, and that's the play Winnipeg fans have been waiting for all afternoon. Lewis is capable of breaking a ball game wide open at any time with a great burst, and he was really galloping as he headed down those sidelines. As far as Winnipeg fans are concerned, they're probably wishing he had about another 5 yards towards that far sideline.
Bombers ball, 1st and 10 on the 31.5-yard line. The Ticats made a rapid shift in their defensive signals there. Hagberg into the center of the line. McKee had a part of him, and so did John Barrow. And also the man up from the bottom of the pile is Don Caraway, number 44, who is certainly making a great percentage of the Ticat tackles today. Into the lineup defensively for Hamilton. Number 64 is Bob Minahane. He's replacing Ellison Kelly. The gain on the play was 4 yards. It is 2nd down and 6 to go. Laterell split on this side. Ploen has still got it. The rush is on. There is a marker on the play. An ineligible receiver is the first indication from the officials.
I think that will be the case. The ball went to Frank Rigney, and it's a pity that Ploen didn't have an opportunity. Farrell Funston was standing in that end zone in splendid isolation.
It remains at, now it goes to 3rd down, and about 6 to go. Now the discussion continues out there for a moment with Kenny Ploen and referee Paul Dojak. And you saw it happen. He marked it off back to the 43-yard line. Incidentally, the other officials working this afternoon, along with Mr. Dojak of Regina, the number 1 umpire is Hamilton Seymour Wilson. Number 2 is Bill Nairn of Winnipeg. Number 3 is Noah Maxwell of Hamilton. The head linesman is Regina's Taylor Patterson. And the field judge, Ray Boucher of Ottawa. They have done an A number 1 job in a real rough and rugged ball game. The ball is on the Hamilton 43-yard line. Second down. Ploen looking for Funston. Almost intercepted. Southern was up there. He was one of the top pass interceptors in the Big Four this year, along with Garney Henley, both defending on Farrell Funston on the play. So it's now third. The yardage to go would be about 21. And the Ticats have sent Henley and Howell back. Southern dropping back about 15 yards in front of them. Henley apparently on that last interception banged up one of his fingers on his left hand. Delvo is standing at midfield. He hits a big high floater that lets a couple of Bombers get down. Now see if he can get out. Howell is out. 1 yard out. They mark it down a little over that with Ron Laterell very fast down under the kick to make it. 45 yards. He brought it back about 4. The highlights of this 61 Grey Cup Classic, a 30-minute version of same, will be presented on most of these television stations from coast to coast tomorrow afternoon, Sunday, starting at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So check your local television station. Ticats from their 1.5-yard line. Ploen on the give to Jerry McDougall, with Gray making the tackle on him. McDougall got out to about the 4-yard line as Gray cut underneath him and upset him. To pick up about 2.5. Ball is about 25 yards in from the far side of the field. 9 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Ticat man shaken up on that last play. Number 62 is Gino DeNoble. And onto the field comes Jimmy Simpson, one of the trainers in the Ticat crew, and DeNoble will be replaced by Old Golden Dome himself, and that is Vince Scott to everyone in this area. The name may sound a little unusual, but he takes off his hat. That's what it is.
Steve, just to see DeNoble come off the field gives some indication of how tough this line play is this afternoon. We're way up here a couple of 100 feet above this field, but you can just hear that leather pop.
Well, Gino looked a little bit on the punchy side as he came to the sidelines. Quick pitch out to McDougall, who ran into first Cease Looning, and he got some help from a couple of other men. Henry Jansen was one who came up to assist on the tackle, and also Gar Warren. And he was stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Third down, about 6 to go with Laterell and Jansen moving to the Ticat 45-yard line. Looking for the punt. Cam Fraser has gone into the lineup. What little bit of wind there is today is blowing from the west-southwest, so it is against Fraser. It was only 4 miles an hour about half an hour back. High pass from center, low end over end, taken at the 35-yard line by Jansen, and at least 4 men got a piece of him, with Ken Kilray giving him the shoulder to knock him down to the ground. 31 yards, that kick. The high pass from center didn't give Fraser too much chance to get the ball away. So the Bombers have a 1st and 10 on the Ticats' 31-yard line. And the Bomber fans in this crowd of 32,651 official are starting to make a little bit more noise than they've made earlier in the day. Their ball club trails by 7 points. The Ticats 14, the Bombers 7. Let's watch it. Dropped the screen-type pass as he turned, and with only about 1 man in front of him, a very shifty man when he gets on the move downfield, Pitts might well have produced a tie. He was just looking, I guess, turning and running before he had full control of the football. The Ticats, before that last play developed, sent in Ralph Goldston in a defensive spot in the backfield, and Bud Grant has just sent a play in from the bench. The man bringing it in was Herb Gray. He has replaced Ed Kotowich in the lineup. Glenn Bjarnason says that drop by Pitts was like a shortstop's bobble in a ball game, and I think that's right, Barney. Pitts is split now about 10 yards off right end. Lewis is wide this way. Big rush on, completed to James inside the 20-yard line where Rogers brought him down to the ground. It is a first down for the Blue Bombers. And the officials mark the ball down on the 18.5-yard line.
All I can say, Steve, with 8 minutes remaining is don't go away.
Well, I'll repeat that, Don, but I know you've got to go away reasonably soon because you're going to handle post-game interviews, and we'll remind our audience not to go away from the rest of the ball game, and certainly stay around and find out what everybody thinks about the ball game downstairs after it's all over. This is Leo Lewis. There's a penalty marker in the play, and Lewis is finally brought down on the 6-yard line by John Barrow. Tripping is the first indication that the referee, Paul Dojak, who threw his penalty marker, it's a rough play call.
The fellow he pointed his finger at was number 56, Ed Kotowicz.
The referee talked to the Ticats defensive captain, Ron Howell. And that's what it is. That's the signal. Well, that moved the ball back to the 34-yard line. First down, 25 yards to go. Here's Herb Gray into the huddle again, and Kotowicz going to the bench.
The ball is on the Tiger Cat 34.
Ticats defenses are ready, and the Bombers take advantage of all the time they can in that huddle. Pitts is flanked 10 yards at least at right end. Short flanker on this side. Kelly missed Ploen, but he was finally nailed by Ray and Barrow, and John Barrow was the first man to hit him. And he didn't make any mistake, and the official just had to push Ellison Kelly away from Herb Gray. They were tangling a little bit out there. And the way these two ball clubs have been hitting all afternoon long, it isn't surprising that tempers get a wee bit short every once in a while. Ball is back now to the 39-yard line. So it is second down and 30 yards to go. It's directly in front of the uprights, should that eventually mean anything. The Bombers have used Jerry James Toe for 2 field goals this afternoon. Ploen is going to go. The Ticats giving him a chance. He shoots for Funston, who's got it. Southern lost him. Funston out of bounds on the 4-yard line. Garney Henley, the last man who had a chance. So that's the way the Winnipeg Ball Club can explode offensively. And this crowd, the Winnipeg contingent at least, is going just hog wild.
Steve, in the event of a tie, there will be a 10-minute rest, followed by 2 10-minute halves. The teams will change ends for those 2 10-minute halves. If it's still tied, there will be 5 minutes rest, then another 20-minute game of 2 10-minute halves. This could be with Winnipeg having a first down on the 5-yard line.
Latrell, a very short flanker on this side. Penalty markers are flying on this one, and the indications in each case, offside against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. 2 men got a little over-anxious defensively. Ron Ray was one of them. There you saw the officials placing the ball down on the 2.5-yard line. First down, goal to go. Don, when you mentioned that tie possibility, I'd forgotten about it since Doug Maxwell mentioned it a long time ago this afternoon, but gee, it's sure coming up now. And I can promise you that Winnipeg club is really alive. Hagberg, I believe he is stopped on that diving play reminiscent of Bobby Kuntz of the Toronto Argonauts. He is held, and the ball will be placed down on the 1-yard line. Ray upended him, and Scott put the stopper on him. So we have roughly the same situation as the end of the first half. And for spine-tingling excitement, this is a real dandy. So watch for those highlights on most of these stations at 1 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. Kenny Ploen wants the crowd to sort of quieten down. I don't think he's got a prayer on that one. He's in the end zone for a Winnipeg touchdown. Jerry James makes it. And the Bombers went 31 yards up and down the field in 9 plays with penalties and passes involved for their first TD of the afternoon. When Kenny Ploen was making the fuss about the noise from the stands, Paul Dojak, the referee, realizing it would be impossible to quieten down this crowd, just shook his head and just shook him off. But it didn't make any difference to the Bombers. Now James, if he makes this extra point, will tie the ball game. Hardeman Carrington took the pass from center. Well, he was about 5 or 6 yards into the Winnipeg backfield before the ball was snapped, and I guess Hardy just figured I might as well go ahead and grab the ball as it came back. The Bombers are ready again. Kenny Ploen will hold the ball on the 12-yard line, 17-yard line. Latrell almost missed his defensive assignment. Down, up, good. The ball game is tied up. Winnipeg 14, Hamilton 14. The clock stopped at 5 minutes and 3 seconds to the end of the game. This is the 61 Grey Cup, and this is your CBC Coast to Coast Grey Cup telecast. The referee has just signaled 5 minutes to go. The Bombers are kicking off with the ball flat, looking for that crazy bounce that may upset the boys. Shannon is the man with the ball at the 25, across the 30, and finally banged down at the 35-yard line by Rod Humanuk, who spilled him as he brought that ball back 22 yards and lost a shoe in the process. Less than 5 minutes to go. The 61 Grey Cup between two great rival ball clubs, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Ticats, tied at 14 points apiece. Don Southern has replaced Shannon in the Ticat backfield. The left end is split, and McDougall is a very wide flanker. Knocked down. Number 44, Gar Warren, batted the ball down, which was intended for right end Paul Decker. Hamilton ball, second, 10 yards to go, 20 yards in from the north side of the field, the CNE Stadium in Toronto. Second and 10. And this place is just alive. The same offensive setup. Two wide men on the far side. Ploen will try it again down this side. Complete to Hal Patterson, who is pulled out of bounds almost immediately by Baz Nagel. And they have got the first down. Patterson has got glue on those fingers of his this afternoon. The ball is at the 46-yard line now, Hamilton territory. With Ploen in that backfield, Golston, Grant, McDougall, and Southern. And Ploen throws deep, intended for Decker. He had it in his hands and could not hang on to it. Kenny Ploen and number 24, that's Nick Miller. and number 26, Baz Nagel, all defending on him. Mike Wright, the Blue Bomber big lineman, defensively was in there to hang one on Ploen. It's second down from the 46-yard line. Man, you can really feel it here. Grant is a wide flanker to the far side. Ploen down the middle. Patterson, a great pitch again. He's got another first down up to about the 46-yard line, Winnipeg end.
Steve, I think you'll notice Ploen isn't satisfied just for this tie ball game. He's out to win it again.
Kenny Ploen defensively, the great Winnipeg quarterback, is playing equally great ball defensively, and he had to on that last one. Decker splits 10 yards at right end. Grant is wide. There's the throw, intended for Decker, too low for him. The Bombers had another big rush going on Ploen, with Mike Wright again coming in along with Herb Gray. So it's second down, and off the Ticat bench comes Carver Shannon. There's the 3-minute signal coming up from the field. Our clock here shows 3:12 to go. The ball game tied at 14 points apiece. It's on the Winnipeg 46-yard line. Hamilton possession, second down, 10 to go. And Kenny Ploen has gone back all by himself, figuring Ploen may try something special. Gee, Ploen almost lost that football. Roger Savoy threw very fast, along with Herb Gray, and they never gave Ploen a chance to get it away. If he had any ideas, they just put them right out of his head. The loss dropped the ball back to the 52-yard line, Hamilton territory. So the Ticats, with the clock showing 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the ball game, will have to give it up on a kick now. Fraser booting. Getting away a pretty good one. Latrell takes it on the 19. He ran right into Zeno Cars. And Ellison Kelly came up to complete the tackle. So let's see, the Bombers have it. First and 10 from their own 23-yard line, and Fraser's kick that time was a 38-yarder. It's 20 yards in from the near side of the field. The clock stopped at 2 minutes, 37 seconds left to go. And into the Winnipeg lineup in the backfield now, number 29 is, of course, Leo Lewis. And number 28, Jerry James, just a little late coming off the bench, obviously, with some last word from Coach Bud Grant. Public address announcer explaining the possible overtime situation. Listen to this crowd. That is Lewis. They aren't going to give him too much chance. He's up to the 25-yard line where Cars was the first man to hit him. And his gain is barely 2 yards, so call it second and a little more than 8 yards to go. The ball is halfway between the sidelines at the Winnipeg 24.5-yard line. Funston splits from left end. Ploen fakes one throw. The ball carrier gets about 2 or 3 yards before he is racked up, and the Bombers will have third down and about 4 or 5 yards to go. Roger Hagberg carried Scott, the number 1 man defensively for the Ticats. It is third down. A little more than 4 yards remaining. Hamilton sending the customary twosome of Henley and Howell deep. There they are, Henley at the top, Howell at the bottom. They've moved back to the Hamilton 40-yard line. Delvo, who has done a remarkable punting job this afternoon replacing injured Charlie Shepard, is on his 15. Gets the kick away, no marker flags down, goes to Henley. He's got it. Got back to the 45-yard line before Kotowicz got to him to make the stop. And Ron Latrell. Latrell was the man who had the first shot, slid by. Kotowicz stopped him. Rigney also had a hand on it. So that 38-yard kick and the 2-yard run back gives the Ticats the ball on their own 45-yard line with a minute to go. And the minute flag is up on the sidelines. And how do you like this one? Ploen, screen pass to Tommy Grant, who is across the 50. Goldston came in through a big bump on Herb Gray. And Baz Nagel was the man who finally stopped things up. The gain on the play is 5 yards, maybe about 5.5. 35 seconds on the clock. That's not official, remember. And we have great prospects of overtime. Intended for Paul Decker. Polone's throw was a little bit too low. Gordy Rowland defending for the Bombers on Paul Decker. The Ticats sending in their kicking team with 3rd and about 5 yards to go. 14-14 ball game. The clock says 27 seconds left. Ticats ball on their own 50-yard line. And Kenny Ploen and Norm Rawhouse are the deep men for the first time today for Winnipeg. Fraser got a high hanging punt away to Rawhouse, who holds on at the 20-yard line. The minute flag is still up. It was Carver Shannon who held him down. That was a 41-yard hoist. Bombers ball, 1st and 10. Just across the 20-yard line. Into the Winnipeg backfield at the last moment there is Gordy Rowland. And going out of the backfield is Leo Lewis. Well, this is the time for some football magic if it's possible. The seconds are running and a lot of the crowd are counting them off. Ploen rolling away is going to shoot the works if he can get it off. He's going to run. He is dragged down from behind at the 44-yard line. The minute flag has gone down. There is the gun. And at the end of regulation time in the 61 Grey Cup Classic, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 14, the Hamilton Ticats 14. And this is your CBC Grey Cup telecast from the CNE Stadium in Toronto.
Bud Grant and Jim Trimble, the two respective coaches, have just left the field after conferring with referee Paul Dojak about the overtime. What happens is a 10-minute rest for each team in the dressing room. They return to play a 20-minute game, 10 minutes each way with no rest in between those small halves. If the score is still tied, at the end of that time, there is a 5-minute rest for each team, but they cannot leave the field. And then they play another 20-minute game, 10 minutes each way, and they continue that way until the game has been decided. The scoring in the second half went something like this. Teams came back to the field with Hamilton enjoying a 7-1 lead. At the 5:46 mark of the third quarter, Jerry James from the 18-yard line kicked a field goal. After Winnipeg had been stalled, they'd moved 66 yards in 13 plays, but they were stalled at the Hamilton 11. James kicked the field goal from the 18 to make it 7-4. Then at 12:33, Bernie Poloen, who had been finding receivers all over the Hamilton team, he's used 6 this afternoon, found Ralph Goldston off to the right side. Goldston deked his man, jumped out of the arms and into the end zone to cap a 75-yard march for Hamilton. 8 plays it took them for the touchdown, which Don Southern converted, and the score was 14-4. At the 15-minute mark, the final play of the third quarter, James kicked his second field goal of the day from the Hamilton 28-yard line and from an oblique angle on the left side of the field, looking at the goalposts. That drive had stalled at the Hamilton 20-yard line. The 28-yard field goal made the score 14-7 and set up the tie to take place in the fourth quarter. The tying score came at the 10:57 mark of the fourth quarter. Jerry James made the touchdown, piling through a melee of bodies from the 1-yard line. after play had ranged up and down the Hamilton end of the field. Actually, Winnipeg started on the Hamilton 31-yard line. Some strong defensive play threw the Winnipeggers well back down the field. But then the big play from a pass from Ploen to Funston picked up 35 yards, took play to the 4-yard line, and a first down. And from there, in a couple of plays, the Bombers were over. James converted, and the score was 14-14, exactly as we have it at the present time. And down at the far end of the field, we have the Canada's Dancing Majorettes in precision, and two members of the Hamilton Tiger Cat Band have come out to join them. Obviously very happy that at least they've got the tie. They're not down in the game. This has been a tremendous game, and in just a few moments we'll come back and talk about the football that we've seen, along with Alec Ponton. This is your CBC Grey Cup telecast from the CNE Stadium in Toronto. Regulation time in the 1961 Grey Cup contest. The score tied at 14 points apiece between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. We're in the 10-minute intermission before the overtime starts, and if my memory is correct, this is the first time that we've ever had overtime in a Grey Cup contest. Well, what has been the football that has produced this tie, this tremendous football game today? Alec Ponton, how about a few observations from you?
Doug, I'm sure the fans watching have observed one of the greatest defensive games I have ever seen in my life anyway. The line play has just been terrific. The hard popping on the line. Herb Gray, Roger Savoy, Mike Wright, and Steve Patrick are doing a terrific job on defense for Winnipeg. John Barrow, Newman, Caraway, and several others doing a tremendous job for Hamilton. There were two real key plays, I thought, Doug, in that last 5 minutes of spine-tickling football, really. The great pass from Ploen to Funston on second down with 35 yards to go, or about 33 yards to go. Funston was trapped actually about the 15-yard line, and how he got out of somebody's grasp there, I'll never know, but he edged himself into the 5-yard line and with first down, and they finally plowed over. Ploen coming back in the same vein as he always has. He's always a gambler. Ploen came back tremendously with about 5 straight passes, got up to about midfield, and then Roger Savoy came in with a great defensive play to nail him for a 15-yard loss.
This is your CBC Grey Cup telecast from the CNE Stadium in Toronto. Dancing Majorettes and the Canadian Football League Band on the field at the present time. Let's continue talking football after that fantastic finish by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to tie it up. Kenny Ploen has been doing some pretty amazing work out there, Alec, for the Blue Bombers.
Doug, he certainly has. I think in Ploen and Hal Ledyard, you'll see some of the best ball handling we've seen all season. Amongst the 9 teams in the league, I think Winnipeg have the 2 best ball handlers in the country. They have great deception off their running pass plays, and it actually almost scored a touchdown early for them in the ball game to Leo Lewis, but was called back on an offside. Then again, they come down and Funston is loose down at the goal line, and they're called for holding. So this is a tough break for Winnipeg, but it showed the great quarterbacking of Winnipeg.
Well, of course, Bernie Ploen has a great many admirers, not only in the East, but all across the country, because, of course, this year he came up with the top football award of the year as the outstanding player in Canada. And a look at the individual statistics this afternoon are rather interesting. He's thrown, by our unofficial statistics, 26 passes this afternoon, completed 18 of them, so he has a pretty fantastic average. But in addition, he's not been favoring one or two players. He has hit at least 6 players in his passing this afternoon. Shannon took some early ones. Paul Decker, of course, got the big touchdown that put them ahead. Hal Patterson has been grabbing passes as Hal Patterson used to grab the passes. Garney Henley, Ralph Golston, Tommy Grant, all of them have been catching passes that Bernie Ploen has been throwing. And strangely enough, Ploen has been relying entirely on the pass, it seems. Very little running in the backfield for Hamilton. Jerry McDougall has only carried the ball 6 times. Ralph Golston has only run with the ball from scrimmage once. Ralph Hickman had 3 tries, Carver Shannon 4, so all told they've probably only had about 10 or 11 plays, running plays from scrimmage.
Right, Doug. I think the big point here was they were running the ball very well in that first 5 minutes, and a very unfortunate break to them. Larry Hickman injured his ankle, and this has certainly changed their style of attack.
This is your CBC Coast to Coast Grey Cup telecast. We're back at the CNE Stadium in Toronto. The lights, of course, are on. They've been on here ever since the start of the game. The temperature in the low 40s. I guess it'll be about 40 now. Very little wind as we prepare to go into the first overtime Grey Cup contest in history. The score 14-14 between the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The officials have returned to the field. The band and the dancing majorettes are leaving the field, so we expect to see the players coming on any moment now. Now let's bring in Don Whitman, who will give us the first overtime period.
Thank you, Doug Maxwell, and you're catching me a little short here. I had headed down to the dressing room for post-game interviews with the champions and the losers, and I was halfway down the stands debating which way to turn, down or up. Down would have been much easier. However, making the long climb up through the stands at CNA Stadium was just a little difficult, and at the moment I'm just a little short of breath.
Well, we can easily understand it. I dare say the players are feeling much that same way, too, because a lot of those players have been going 2 ways out there. Kenny Ploen for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers has been doing double duty this afternoon. Ralph Golston has been doing much the same. John Barrow for Hamilton has been doing double duty. The cheer that you hear is for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who have just returned to the field. And in a moment, we'll hear the cheer that signals the Winnipeg Blue Bombers coming back.
Doug, I don't know whether you have mentioned this. I've been wandering around up here at the top of the stadium trying to get some reactions, but this is the second consecutive overtime ball game that the Hamilton Tiger Cats have played. I don't know whether there is any particular omen connected with the fact that in the overtime against Toronto to win the right to represent the East in the Grey Cup, they were absolutely miraculous. Now we'll have to see what they do with a ball club that has contained them on most occasions this afternoon, except for 2 fine pass and run plays that Bernie Ploen engineered as the quarterback of the Hamilton Ticats.
Don Whitman back again, and we have Alec Ponton. And Alec, Leo Lewis certainly has had a magnificent ball game this afternoon.
Don, you've been telling me about Leo Lewis. I've played against him a few games, and I've watched Leo play on television a few times, too. He is certainly the Lincoln Express, as they call him. I've never seen a ball player, Don, that could break tackles in tight to the line of scrimmage like he can and all of a sudden spring loose. And when Leo gets a yard or 2 on anybody, he's going to go all the way. He's certainly done a great job. I think the only person in the league that I would say is any comparison is old Spaghetti Legs Parker.
Jackie is quite adept at also breaking out of a would-be tackler's grasp. and he's done that on many occasions in the Western Conference, and this year with the interlocking schedule, he did a bit of it here in the East. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers preparing to kick off to the Hamilton Tiger Cats to start the first overtime period. Gord Rowland will handle the boot. Back to receive for Hamilton are Carver Shannon and Jerry McDougall. The kick by Rowland bounces to McDougall at the 20, to the 25. He's knocked into touch on the far side of the field at the 28-yard line by Ron Meadmore. So it's 1st and 10 Hamilton on the 28. A 49-yard kickoff by Gord Rowland, a 12-yard return by Jerry McDougall. The first of two 10-minute overtime periods. 14 all the score. And it's a first down Hamilton on the 28-yard line of the Ticats. Mixa up over the ball. Ploen, the quarterback, he sends Grant flanking wide to the right. Incomplete, intended for Hal Patterson way down on the 45-yard line. He was being covered by Norm Rawhouse and Henry Jensen. Quite a number of players have been going both ways this afternoon. Some of them necessitated because of injury. Hamilton again, that quick count. Ploen is tripped up. He was caught from behind by Mike Wright. And Steve Patrick also in there. The ball on the 29, a gain of 1. It will be 3rd and 9 from the 29. This is the second straight overtime game for Hamilton, as Steve remarked. Back to receive, the usual pair for Winnipeg of Lateral and Jensen. Fraser, the punter, standing on the 15. He drives a pretty good kick down to Lateral at the 40. Lateral squirms through to the 53. Wrapping his arms around him was Ellison Kelly. Kelly has been going all the way at offensive guard and has also seen some action as a defensive end. A 42-yard kick by Cam Fraser, a 12-yard return by Ron Lateral. First down, Winnipeg. The ball at the 52-yard line. 9 minutes and 3 seconds remain in the first overtime period. Lateral, who has been going both ways, is flanked to the left. Ledyard in at quarterback. Throws complete to Pitts. The flea flicker pass. Grabbed off by Lewis. Look out for this one. And Lewis is caught from behind. There's a flag on the play. Ron Howell caught Leo Lewis. I believe they're going to call an offside pass. That's what is referred to as the flea flicker. The quarterback will throw to either of the ends who are posting, who flips quickly to halfback Lewis, who is scampering down the sidelines. On that occasion, apparently an offside pass, and where the point of infraction took place is where the measurement is taking place. It's just short of the first down. Garney Henley had Pitts by the arms, pinning them to his side, and Pitts had difficulty flipping that ball out. And Alec Ponton points out to us possibly the reason that flip pass, the flea flicker, was an offside. It's 2nd and inches, Winnipeg. The ball on the 52-yard line of the, or 48-yard line rather, of the Ticats. Straight ahead to Hagberg. He should have enough. He has. Al Rogers made the stop for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He wears jersey number 14. First down, Winnipeg on the 45. 8 minutes, 9 seconds remaining in the first overtime period. The first overtime in the history of the Grey Cup. Ledyard, the quarterback. Lewis flanked to the left. Incomplete. It was intended for Farrell Funston. Ledyard was dumped in the seat of his trousers on a big rush from Ron Ray, along with Don Caraway. Ray, the defensive end, Caraway playing the inside linebacking spot. Second down, Winnipeg from the 45. Ledyard's throwing. Intercepted by Ron Howell at the 30. And Howell is dropped in the 38-yard line. The pass intended for Leo Lewis, who was running a cut-across pattern. And Ron Howell got in front of him, went up in the air, and grabbed it off, running it back to the 38-yard line. And that's the first interception of the ball game. Prior to those last two pass attempts, Ledyard had been 3 for 3. Then one incomplete. And the interception. Zeno Cars put on the pressure. Ploen keeping. Trapped for possibly a loss by Mike Wright and Jack Delvo. Herb Gray, number 53, had the initial shot at him. And Ploen is a little slow in getting to his feet. And going into the ball game is number 11, Frank Cosentino. And what a spot, Steve, for a rookie quarterback to go into a ball game.
Frank got in that last ball game against the Argonauts, but only very briefly as a halfback. And now with the Ticats on Howell's great interception, he is in a real dandy.
Frank Cosentino, number 11, is the quarterback. It's second down rather, for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The ball is fumbled, and Cosentino gets to it. Roger Savoy, the defensive tackle, nearly got it. He's number 62. So it will be third down, Hamilton, and 14 yards to go. Latterell and Jansen back to receive. They're standing on their own 30. Fraser is punting off the 20-yard line. Latterell takes it at the 30. Tries to run wide and is tripped up by Tom Moran. 46-yard boot by Cam Fraser. And although Ron Latterell ran a long way, he didn't move forward. Steve Douglas points out that that was the best punt of the afternoon by Cam Fraser. Six minutes, 37 seconds remaining in the first overtime period. Ledyard still in there at quarterback for the Bombers. The handoff to Hagberg. He finds a big hole to the 40. Garney Henley was the fellow who pulled his feet out from under him. And they're calling for the yardsticks. Paul Dojak, the head referee. Seymour Wilson, the senior umpire. Bill Nairn, the junior umpire. Norm Maxwell is the deep man. Ray Boucher is the field judge. Taylor Patterson, the head linesman. It's a first down. Rod Humanek, from his guard spot, threw a great block, enabling Hagberg to burst through for that 10-yard romp. First down, Winnipeg. The ball on the Winnipeg 40-yard line. 6 minutes and 8 seconds remain in the first overtime period. 14-all is the score. Latterell is flanked wide to the left. The handoff to Lewis on the reverse. Cutting back in, he fights to the 50. Vince Scott and Grant McKee were in on the tackle. Scott was the first man to hit him, and McKee assisted in pushing him over. And again, the yardsticks go out. Both coaches have described their 1961 teams. as the best in their careers in directing traffic. Just short of the first down. It'll be 2nd and inches. Lewis flanked to the right. Ledyard on the bootleg. He's wow. Al Rogers came through. And that's something just a wee bit unusual, Alec, on a 2nd and inches setup to go for the pass.
It certainly was, but actually, Don, it was a great call by Ledyard. Hamilton were up at a 9-man line, and if he just got a little bit more time to throw, I think he would have got Lewis free down there.
So it's now a punting situation for Winnipeg. Delvaux is back to do the kicking, standing on the 30. And he booms one. Taken by Henley, back at the 10. And is forced out of touch on the far side of the field by Ernie Pitts at about the 14-yard line. A 54-yard kick by Jack Delvaux. And a 4-yard return. And the punters are coming through in great fashion in this overtime session. A few moments ago, Cam Fraser hooped his best punt of the afternoon. Just now, Jack Delvaux got away his best effort, a 54-yarder. Bernie Ploen is back in at quarterback. Frank Cosentino is on the bench once more. The left end is split, the quick pitch. And there's not much room to run as Roger Savoy plugs the gap. McDougall was the ball carrier. A loss of 1 on the play. It's 2nd and 11. Kenny Ploen is now in that Winnipeg defensive setup at safety. Complete to Patterson at the 25. He's dropped by Norm Rawhouse along with Gar Warren. This will be close to the first down. Maloney looks things over as Paul Dojak signals for the yardsticks. 3 minutes and 59 seconds remain in the first overtime period in Grey Cup history. About 1 yard short. And the Ticats apparently are taking no chances as they send in their punting team. Third down, Hamilton, the ball on the 26-yard line. Fraser back to do the punting, standing at the 10. Make that the 11. Jansen fields it, fumbles, a loose ball, and let's see what happens. A pileup of players. Winnipeg recovered. Jansen fumbled that ball. It squirted away from a couple of Hamilton players, and Jansen, who was scrambling on his knees, managed to grab it. A 33-yard boot and a 6-yard return. So it's first down, Winnipeg. Ball inside Hamilton territory at the 53. Kenny Ploen is now back in at quarterback. Latterell is flanking to the left. The handoff to Lewis. John Barrow makes the tackle on Lewis at the 48-yard line. 2nd and 5. Gain of just a little over 5 yards. It will be second and about 5 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Ball at the 48-yard line of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Ploen gives to Hagberg. Not much of an opening. Zeno Cars came up from his corner linebacking spot to make the tackle. A gain of about 1. It will be 3rd and 4, Winnipeg. The ball at the 47-yard line of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And thus far in this overtime session, neither club has been able to mount much of a sustained drive. Delvo, the punter. It's fumbled by Howell. However, I do believe he recovered at the 7-yard line. Ron Latterell was down there quickly. Howell, in attempting to catch that ball, almost had it slip right away from him. A 40-yard kick by Jack Delvo. It's first down Hamilton on their own 7-yard line. 24 is Nick Miller, 26 is Baz Nagel. Two minutes and 23 seconds remain in overtime. Ploen hands off to Carver Shannon, and Shannon's up to the 15.
Shannon, going to the 15.
Nick Miller, the tackler for Winnipeg.
Delvo and Nagel.
Second and 2 yards for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The ball at the Hamilton 15-yard line. 1 minute, 55 seconds remaining in the first overtime period. Twin flanker to the right. Straight ahead to McDougall. He's hit. Right at the line of scrimmage. He may have picked up a yard. Jack Delvo, from his inside linebacking spot, was driving through there to flip him over along with Herb Gray. It'll be fairly close to the first down as they bring out the chains. And with all the players standing around, you can't see just how much it's short. However, it is not enough to move the yardsticks, and it's a third down Hamilton. Nobody has come into the ball game, so the Tiger Cats presumably will be gambling here on third down. A big play for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The ball on the Hamilton 17-yard line. Here it is. Ploen on the keeper. He's got plenty. Kenny Ploen made the tackle on quarterback Bernie Ploen. A real good play by the Ticats, Alec.
This was sent in by Jim Trimble, so he could have been the hero or the goat, Don.
First down for Hamilton on the 22. 1 minute and 1 second remaining in the first overtime period. In that spread formation. Ploen throws to Grant, complete at the 33-yard line. Gar Warren made the tackle. A gain of close to 10 yards. This may necessitate another measurement. No, it doesn't. The signal from Paul Dojak, it's a first down. From the spread again. Ploen throws, incomplete. Intended for Hal Patterson, cutting across. He was being covered by Nick Miller and Kenny Ploen. 30 seconds remaining in the first overtime period. Steve Patrick applied a great rush on quarterback Bernie Ploen from that spread formation where Ploen stands right up tight to the center. Same formation again. The hitch pass to the sideline to McDougall. He's knocked out of touch on the far side of the field at the 43 by Norm Rawhouse.
Stepping in touch, the Tiger Cat, 41.
14 seconds showing the scoreboard clock in the first overtime period. We'll wait to see just where they're placing that ball.
Oh, no.
Third and about one. Apparently the public address system announcer may have forgotten himself for a moment. Well, some strange goings-on have taken place in this first overtime period. Earlier, Hamilton gambled on a 3rd and 1 setup back in their own 17. Now on a 3rd and 1 setup at their own 41, they're going to kick. Latterell and Jansen are the receivers. Fraser is the punter. The end-over-end boot. Bouncing. And Latterell fields it as the gun sounds to end the first overtime period. This is your CBC Coast-to-Coast Grey Cup telecast.
Well, about the most impressive thing about this football game today, Grey Cup contest, is the tremendous defensive struggle that's taking place between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The score tied at 14 points apiece. The Hamilton team have been forced to kick on 17 occasions, Winnipeg on 12 occasions, and that's indication enough of a terrific defensive struggle. This is your CBC Grey Cup telecast from the CNE Stadium in Toronto.
I've already done that.
We're back in Toronto at the CNE Stadium, where the officials are conferring at center field with captains Herb Gray and that is for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and Ron Howell of the Tiger Cats. They've played 10 minutes one way. They'll turn around now and play 10 minutes the other way. There is no waiting in between. They come back on the field and ready to go for this second half of the overtime period, the first overtime period. Here is Steve Douglas.
All right, Doug. The Ticats in the light jerseys defending the goal to your right. As you watch your television screen, that is the west end of the field here at the CNE Stadium, Toronto. And the Ticats will kick off. Don Southern setting the ball on the tee to his own particular liking, and the Blue Bombers in the dark jerseys defending to the east, the left, will receive. They will have Jansen, number 32, and Lewis, number 29, as the two deep men. They're between the 5 and 10 yard line. Southern ready. Here we go. Lewis at the 9 yard line, across the 20, 25, 30, 35, upended. The man who spilled him was Gino DiNoble. Actually threw a block-type tackle at him. The kickoff was 55 yards in length, and Lewis's fine run back was good for 30 yards. The ball is on the hash marks on the near side of the field, meaning 20 yards in from these sidelines. Bombers ball, 1st and 10, a 14-14 ball game in the second half of the first overtime period. Kenny Ploen, number 11, the quarterback. With Lewis, James, Latterell, and Hagberg in that backfield, and James carrying into the center of the line. Gets up close to the 43-yard line before he is piled up. First man to get to him was Bob Minahane, number 64. And Al Rogers came up from his linebacking spot to help on the tackle. It's right on the 43-yard line. The pickup is 4 yards then, 2nd down and 6 to go. Ticats defensively in a 5-3-4 with some of those linebackers sneaking awfully close to the line. Ploen ready to shoot long. Pitch in the clear. Has got it and hangs on. He was pulled down by Don inside the 30-yard line, Ernie Pitts, a great pass catcher with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who is downed on the Hamilton 27, and it's Bombers ball there, 1st and 10.
The fans this afternoon have been treated to some great pass receptions. 4, as we mentioned, of the outstanding ends in the Canadian game, in Decker and Patterson of the Ticats, and Pitts and Funston of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Don, let's not forget that Kenny Ploen threw a great pass that time, too. He hit him right on the nose. Flanker left is Latourelle. Hagberg is the ball carrier. And this big fellow who came in that final playoff game against Calgary and did a whale of a job, Don, is certainly doing it again this afternoon. He helps move the sticks there. And the Bombers on the move, deep in Hamilton territory, have now reached the 17.5-yard line, 1st and 10. No, sir, not 1st and 10 officially yet. The man with the downs markers was moved up, but they have called for the sticks. All right, make it official. 7 minutes and 52 seconds left to go in the overtime period. Golston comes in defensively, so does Hardam and Curitin for the Ticats. The men coming out, number 17 is Grant McKee and number 14 is Al Rogers. They're putting a little more beef in there. Bombers ball, 1st and 10. 17.5 yards away from pay dirt. The noise has been constant for at least the last half hour. James nailed by Pete Newman immediately. And Newman just never gave him a chance. He's done that 2 or 3 times this afternoon. Jerry had no chance to pick up any speed at all.
Some great defensive line play with Newman and Barrow, 2 all-stars in that Hamilton defensive unit, coming up with the great effort from time to time. And that was definitely a real big play, Steve, for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, as Newman came bursting through.
The Bombers started to make a change, and they sent the man who came out on the field, Mike Wright, back, but the Ticats did shift. They've got Kelly in, replacing Minahane. And there are 2 flankers left, and one, the right end is split. And Ploen, if he can get away, will go for it. He's into the end zone for a touchdown, and a sensational one by Kenny Ploen. On that 17.5-yard gallop for a TD that has got this crowd really howling, Kenny Ploen bypassed both Don Southern and Don Caraway for the TD. And so the Bombers move into a 20-14 edge with the clock showing 6 minutes and 58 seconds to go. Well, if that crowd had been up for the last half hour or more, it is all the more up right now. They went 71 yards in 5 plays. The big play was that 40-yard pass. James makes it good. And in the second half of this overtime period of the 61 Grey Cup at the CNE Stadium in Toronto, the Blue Bombers now lead the Ticats by 21-14. Alec, I know you've got an observation on what happened on that great run of Kenny Ploen's. Tell us, will you?
Steve, this was a great individual effort by Ploen, but I don't think many people noticed a great peel-back block by George Druxman, number 43, down about the 5-yard line. He really set him loose there.
Whoever sold some Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans their tickets behind the Bombers bench on the far side of the field certainly knew where to put them, because they have been up and hooting and hollering ever since. There's that flat kickoff again. That is Jerry McDougall on the move with a good run back out to the 33-yard line. That big pass, the great pass and the great catch, Ploen to Pitts, covered 40 yards as the highlight of that march for the TD by Winnipeg. Baz Nagel, number 1 man, upending the ball carrier McDougall, and Gray coming in to hold him down. A 19-yard run back on that kickoff by Jerry McDougall. The Ticats have now got to go all out. Ploen down the middle to Decker. He's got it. He is hit down on the 45-yard line. Jack Delvo is in on the tackle, along with Kenny Ploen, who is now playing a defensive halfback spot, and Nick Miller was number 1. Miller, Delvo, and Ploen combining on Paul Decker. Ticats have the ball, 1st and 10 from their own 45. 6 minutes, 10 seconds to go. In addition to getting a little bit darker all the time here, it's getting quite a little bit cooler. Ploen shooting way over in this side. The intended receiver, Hal Patterson, got his hands on it, and that's all. He was being closely checked by Norm Rawhouse of Winnipeg. All afternoon, having a look at Lake Ontario in the background, we've wondered if this fog that has been hanging over the lake would ever move in, and perhaps it is going to. It seems to be getting a little bit mistier around here now. There goes Ploen. Tripped up, and the man who made a great play for the Bombers was Roger Savoy, number 62. Ploen could have galloped for a fair piece of yardage there if Savoy, in falling, had not stuck his hand out and just grabbed him. The rush on Ploen was instituted by Herb Gray. So it's 3rd down and 8 to go. The clock says 5:34 remaining. Ball on the 47-yard line, Hamilton's. And Ploen staying in to do the punting. Or is he going to punt? Yes, he is. That floater hung up there a little bit. Latrell took it, got away from 2 men with a fine shift. And then in making his cut, he was hit first by Paul Palmer, and Gino DeNoble finished things off. A 14-yard run back by Latrell. And the officials are now giving the 5-minute signal from the field. Latrell, Lewis, James, and Hagberg, along with Ploen in the Winnipeg backfield. The Bombers lead the Ticats 21-14. Latrell, a short flanker on the far side. Hagberg carries for short yardage left. First contact made for the Ticats by Vince Scott, and Rogers was also on the stop. The gain is about 3, 2nd down and 7. Hamilton defense has Ray at left end, then Kelly playing left tackle, Scott at middle guard, Barrow at right tackle, and Newman at right end. Cars, Caraway, and Rogers are the linebackers. The halves are Southern, Henley, McKee, and Howell. That is Lewis to the 45, maybe over 1 yard, which will leave the Bombers with 3rd and about 4 to go, as Rogers made the stop from his corner linebacking spot on the right side. As a further example of the type of hard-hitting action these 2 ball clubs have been putting up, Glenn Bjarnason just spotted the fact that Rogers, who's played a whale of a game at a corner linebacker for Hamilton, looks as if he is a little bit on the groggy side, but still playing his usual bang-up game. Delvo gets that kick away, low end over end, troublesome type. There's a lateral to Howell, who is pulled out of bounds by Ernie Pitts. Got hold of his jersey and wouldn't let go. It was Southern who took the kick originally and fired that hard shoulder-level lateral over to Howell. 41 yards was Delvo's kick, and the run back produced 12 yards for the Ticats, who take the ball from scrimmage with 3 minutes, 31 seconds remaining, and the Bombers leading by 7 points. And listen to the crowd set up the chant now. Ploen throwing to Decker. It was tipped by Gar Warren. Rick Potter in defensively was the man right alongside of the intended receiver, and Kenny Ploen was there as well. Henley goes out as a very wide flanker on the far side. Patterson split this way from left end. The rush is on. Ploen is dumped again back at the 25-yard line. The only two men deep downfield for Hamilton were Decker and Patterson, and it was Herb Gray who led the Winnipeg defensive charge again. And the Ticats will have to boot on 3rd down and 20 yards to go with 2 minutes and 55 seconds remaining according to the clock. The Bombers have Laturel deep, only one man. They are a little suspicious of what may happen here. They have moved Ploen and Rawhouse up. High pass from center. Ploen got away a fine kick. Sent Laturel back to the 39-yard line, and Shannon dragged him down. So with the ball midway between the sidelines, on the Winnipeg 43-yard line, the clock says 2:35. Bombers possession. Ploen's kick that time was a good one, 46 yards. Gordy Rowland coming into the Bomber lineup, replacing Leo Lewis. Now, as you were, he is replacing Ron Laturel. The Ticats, of course, want to get that football if that defensive team can do it. They're trailing by 7 points with almost 2 minutes now on the clock. You could hear the heads come together down there on that one, as Leo Lewis picked up yardage close to the 45. Don Caraway, number 1 man defensively. 2nd down, about 9 to go. Bombers ready. Ploen bootlegging. Cutting back in. Hit from behind by Pete Newman. The man up front who got to him first, number 17, was Grant McKee. And the Bombers have 3rd and about 5 to go. So the Ticats will get possession of the ball again. At least they'll have a chance to have possession. And now the 2 deep men have changed for the Hamilton club. It will be Henley, or is that Howell? It's Howell and Southern. Howell to the left, Southern to the right. You saw them on the double chalk stripe. That's the 25-yard line. And Delvaux, who has done a magnificent punting job for Winnipeg today, is just over his own 35. The minute flag is up. Delvaux gets that punt directed to Southern at the 20. Across the 30. And he is hit down as he reaches the 34-yard line by Jerry James. So, of all the drama you could possibly imagine, there's a chance for it to happen again, I reckon.
From their own 34.
Ball on Ticat, 34-yard line. It's about 25 yards in from the near side of the field. Ploen looking, throwing very long, intended for Hal Patterson. And the pass overshot him and was about 3 or 4 yards wide as Norm Rawhouse was the deep defender along with Leo Lewis. Lewis looks as if he might have pulled a muscle cramp on that play. They've signaled for to the bench at the far side of the field. Winnipeg trainer coming out. Gord Mackey, the Winnipeg trainer, giving him the old rub down. And that's what it was, just a muscle cramp. Leo will leave the field. He gets a very, very well-deserved hand for a fine performance both ways today. Second and 10 for the Ticats. The rush is on Ploen. He's tripped up again. Number 62, Roger Savoy. So it's third down with almost 30 yards to go.
Third and 16.
I beg your pardon. Check that off. Ernie Pitts is the man who came in to defend, replacing Lewis. Ploen shooting down the middle to Patterson. Complete. He's tackled immediately, and they are short of a first down. And the clock shows 9 seconds left. Gar Warren, the man who made the tackle. The Bombers 21, the Ticats 14. The clock showing 9 seconds remaining. Don Whitman, by this time, has reached the interview area down under the stands, I trust. And knowing the mob scenes that are going down downstairs, it would have been difficult had he not left in sufficient time here. The Bombers in possession, with the clock showing no time remaining. Ploen just lies down on the ball. The gun sounds. The 61 Grey Cup champions are the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who this afternoon here in Toronto beat the Hamilton Ticats in overtime. The Blue Bombers 21 and the Ticats 14. This is your CBC Grey Cup telecast from the CNE Stadium in Toronto.
The Grey Cup belongs to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for 1961, and that certainly caps a successful season for Bud Grant and his Blue Bombers, the Western champions. The moment the players congratulating each other. A hard-fought game, a game that was principally a defensive contest. The final score, 21-14 in favor of Winnipeg, and that goes into the scorebook. That's the 6th time that Hamilton and Winnipeg have met in the Grey Cup. The 4th time that Trimble and Grant coached teams have met each other in the East-West final, and Grant gets the big one. And down below, holding up that Grey Cup high so that all can see it, the jubilant Winnipeg Blue Bombers, for the press and the photographers, showing the cup to the various press high over their heads. Herb Gray, Gar Warren, and Steve Patrick down there with the cup in their possession, and believe me, they're not going to let go of that until they get it into the dressing room. It's Herbie Gray, number 53, carrying the Grey Cup along and receiving lots of assistance, getting it along the way. In 1957, these two teams met under coaches Grant and Trimble. Trimble was the winner, 32-7. But in 58, they evened it up one apiece, 35-28 for Winnipeg. In 1959, the Bombers defeated Hamilton 21-7. Today, the Winnipeg-Hamilton score is 21-14. And now, Don Whitman, down below, is almost ready to start down there. He may have had some problems getting down there because, believe me, this crowd was sitting on the edge of its seat right to the final seconds of this exciting game. The first time a Grey Cup has gone into overtime. And a game that seemed to have a great deal of tension building up through it. It wasn't a high-scoring game, but it had that tension building all the way. And, of course, the overtime certainly helped to do that. Steve, some general comments as we go along.
Well, Doug, I think the greatest comments must come from both winner's side and loser's side down below with Don Whitman. My principal observations would be that most of the pregame forecasting was right, that the defenses played a tremendous part in the ball game. It was not the high-scoring game that a whole lot of so-called experts, including a few within earshot here, Mr. Maxwell, predicted it would be. There were some breaks in the ball game. One thing that was peculiar today, the number of fumbles in which the recoveries were made by the men who made the fumbles. You've got the facts on that, Doug.
Well, Jerry James once fumbled, picked it up again, and the lone Hamilton fumble by Ron Howell was recovered by Howell. The other two fumbles in the game were both Winnipeg fumbles. Kenny Ploen and Hal Ledyard both were hit thumping tackles by Hamilton defenders, dropped the ball, and in both cases Hamilton recovered. Butch Rogers recovered Plain's fumble, and John Barrow recovered Ledyard's. But then that great Winnipeg defensive squad moved in and helped hold the Hamilton side from capitalizing on their good fortune.
Doug, before we switch to Don, I think we ought to say a couple of things, and I'd like to say them right now. One is that highlights of this great ball game will be shown on most of these TV stations. Tomorrow afternoon, it will be a half-hour package beginning at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So you check your local television station to be absolutely sure. Then I want to say what a wonderful show was put on at halftime, pregame, halftime, and then when called upon to put on some extra entertainment, they certainly did that. And Doug, we'd be remiss if we didn't say to all our wonderful friends who may be hospitalized, they may be bedridden at the present time, unable to see the ball game. We hope they watched it on television. We hope they're out of the ill health situation in the very near future. If not, we wish them the season's greetings coming up, and certainly hope they enjoyed this afternoon's ball game.
Amen, Steve. No, it was rather interesting to look at some of the statistics as interpretive facts about this game. First of all, it was a very cleanly played game. It was a hard-played game, as we've all been mentioning. You could hear the head knocking right all the way up here, but Winnipeg was only penalized on 4 occasions, a total of 45 yards. Hamilton, 3 occasions, lost 17 and a half yards. One of those, the 2.5 yards, if you're wondering where it came, was that half the distance to the goal line on the offside on James' eventual touchdown. Only 2 field goals attempted in the entire game. Jerry James kicked both of them, 18 yards and 28, and they were big ones. And no doubt Don Whitman will probably want to talk to him if he can get to him downstairs. So let's go down. Okay, Don Whitman, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Don Whitman down here in the dressing room area, and we have the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Sidney Halter, to make the presentation of the Grey Cup, along with Mr. Ralph Parliament, the president of the CFL, to the Bomber co-captains Herb Gray and Steve Patrick. Mr. Halter?
Ralph Parliament and I are very, very happy to present to you, Herb, as emblematic of the Canadian Championship in professional football, this historic trophy, the Grey Cup. And we congratulate you on a wonderful game over very worthy opponents.
Thank you very much.
Here you are, boys.
Thank you.
Third time in 4 years, I think I've had the pleasure of presenting it to you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Parliament.
Well, I certainly, Herb, have a pleasure again in congratulating you. It was a wonderful game, and it's too tough. A tough one team had to lose, that's all.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Parliament.
Same to you, Steve.
Thank you.
Herb, that was a real hard-knocking ball game out there. You're wearing a few battle scars. That line play looked real rugged.
Well, Don, I think this is probably, like Jim Trimble said, I think this is the best team he's had.
Well,
Of course, I think it's the best team we've had.
I was just going to say that.
A little bit worried this week. We come down here from out west, stand in a strange place in a strange town. Toronto's lots bigger than Winnipeg. But, gosh, right now I'd like to say thank you to everybody out west that's supported us. And I'd like to thank my wife for a little prayer she said last night, and I'll be back to see her tomorrow, my family, and I know I'll also be glad to get back to Winnipeg and bring the Grey Cup back to Winnipeg. And I hope everybody will be there at the arena to see us.
I'm certain they will. Herb, Steve Patrick, from your middle guard spot, you had a great afternoon.
Thank you very much, Don. I think it's certainly a great feeling to win the Grey Cup. The first one we won, I thought it was the greatest thing ever, but I'll tell you, when we won the second, it felt terrific, and this is the third one, and I think it's still more exciting and feels greater yet.
Going into overtime, I imagine you boys are a little weary right now, but the victory will certainly take away any weariness you might have.
That's right, Don. I think that in the overtime that all of our boys just give out a little bit more, and we were so evenly matched, and I think we wanted it just a little more than we wanted.
Herb, you wanted to say something else?
I'd just like to say one thing. I hate to say this, but I'd like to thank all the sports writers for picking us underdogs, because I like to be an underdog.
Well, you were underdogs going into it, Herb. Thanks very much for chatting with us, Herb Gray and Steve Patrick, the co-captains of the Grey Cup champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Now we're going to call in the fella who has won a Outstanding Player Award in Canada before. Jerry James is certainly no stranger. Jerry, that was a tough, hard-hitting ball game.
It was, Don. When I was back at the hotel this morning, I was thinking about not the last Grey Cups we've won, but the ones we lost in 1957, and I was sort of wearing the horns that day, and I really wanted to win this game and contribute something to the cause.
Jerry, you were on the team in 53, 57, 58, 59, and this year you've been with the Bombers through that stretch. Is this one any bigger or better than the others?
I don't think really the effect of winning the Grey Cup, Don, hits you until, say, 2 or 3 hours from now and tomorrow, when we have that big reception back in Winnipeg, and that's when you really realize what you've done.
Was there anything that was going particularly well offensively, any particular play for you?
Well, I didn't carry the ball that much, Don, but the 41 veer that we used against Calgary, you know, the old veer play, well, it worked real well, and the 44 sweep on the left side, which they said was real tough, and Frank really did a heck of a job.
Two of the ball clubs who were picked by their coaches as the tops in Canada this year in a real good football game.
Geez, Don, I was wondering when we were going to score, you know, a touchdown. I was thinking to myself that this Hamilton club isn't that good, you know, defensively. They're a good club, but they hadn't been scored on in about, I don't know, 100 and some minutes. And I thought, this can't go on forever.
Is there any particular reason why Jerry James seems to be so adept at kicking the extra points and the converts and the field goals in the clutch games?
Don, if you'd have felt how I would have felt when I was kicking that last one, and especially the other field goal, the second one, which made it 14-7, which we still had a chance to tie the ball game up with 7-7, I don't think I could have stood it any longer if I get older.
Thanks, Jerry, and congratulations again on the 1961 Grey Cup victory. The fellow who was chosen the outstanding lineman in the country this year, Frank Rigney of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Frank, congratulations on the award, and this has really been a tremendous year.
Thank you very much, Don. This has been the best year we've ever had, easily the best one in my life. And I'd just like to say one thing, and this is not a knock toward Trimble or anything, but earlier this week in the paper he said that they were the only club that had beat every club in Canada. I think he's got to back off that one now because we've done it.
Well, that 30-9 victory over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers early in the season by the Hamilton Tiger Cats, I believe it was August 31st. What's the difference between the Bombers of then and the Bombers of today?
I don't really know, Don. I think the Hamilton's got a real fine ball club. I will say this: I think we got a better ball club. If we played them a series that we could beat them. But I don't know. Offensively, I think we moved the ball a lot better today. We fumbled the ball a little bit, but I think we're handling pretty good.
Well, Frank, you were chosen the outstanding lineman in the country, and the fellow you defeated was the fellow you were playing opposite against, John Barrow.
That's right, and John is a real good football player. I know on one play today, particularly on a rollout pass left to Kenny Ploen, real early in the ball game, I knocked Barrow right down. He got up and got to Kenny before I could even recover.
So now it's possibly a bit of celebrating, isn't it?
It's terrific. This is fantastic. When we get back to Winnipeg, it's going to be terrific.
Thanks very much, Frank Rigney.
Thank you very much, John.
The outstanding lineman in the country. And now we're going to call in Farrell Funston, who had himself a fine afternoon. And Farrell, you're wearing a bit of CNE Stadium mud on your sweater.
Yes, it was a rough game, Don.
Farrell, the line play, was it as rugged as it looked up in the press box?
I tell you, it was the roughest line play I've seen in Canadian football this year.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, these two clubs were rated the best in the country by their coaches. Hamilton, was there any particular defensive halfbacks who you were having problems with this afternoon?
No, I don't believe I had any problem with any one particular halfback. I believe that we definitely control the ball game. I honestly believe that. They made a few spectacular plays and got their scores, but it seemed like we were controlling the ball game. And if we just hung in there, time would come and we beat them.
I think it was in the fourth quarter. You were standing in that end zone once on one occasion when Kenny was thrown for a loss. You were all by yourself. I noticed when you were heading back to the huddle, you were sort of just a wee bit unhappy that Kenny didn't have time to throw to you.
There was a rollout pass, but he didn't have enough time to throw the ball, and so he couldn't get it off, and they threw him for a loss, but I was sure hoping he'd get it away because I was wide open.
Farrell, has this victory been any better than the others?
Definitely. This has been one of the greatest games that I've played in and participated in. It's really wonderful.
Well, the overtime added to the fine play in regulation time certainly made it a great ball game, didn't it?
That's right. Just like Mr. Grant said at halftime, he says, beating him in overtime would be better than beating him 15-0.
Well, you beat them in overtime. Farrell, congratulations on the 1961 Grey Cup victory. Now we're going to call in Bernie Ploen, the fellow who was chosen the outstanding ball player in the country. And Bernie, the old jinx seemed to go again. The fellow who won that award has never won the Grey Cup the same year.
Yes, it's. So I thought maybe we could break that jinx, but the Blue Bombers are really tough today. They got a great football team. They were hitting hard, and they never gave us a moment's rest all afternoon.
It looked like it was a pretty hard-hitting ball game all the way.
It sure was. Both defensive clubs are really popping in there, and the offensive clubs, they were doing the job too. And of course, when Winnipeg got a hold of the ball, it made it tough for us to get it. They kept it too long.
What were you attempting to do in the final minutes there? Were you trying to get those receivers down deep?
Well, Winnipeg was playing the late defense type of thing, laying back about 15, 20 yards, and we thought maybe we could break Hal Patterson for a long one down the sideline, or hit a short one and pitch out with a fast back and maybe be able to go all the way. Certainly they were laying back too far for throwing the long ball anyway.
The first touchdown run by Paul Decker, did you expect him to go all the way?
No, we were only going for the first down, and Big Paul did a great job. He thought the field was only about 50 yards, but when he came out 75, but when after he caught the ball, he was quite tired.
Well, after 2 overtime games in a row, you must be just a wee bit weary.
Well, I'm quite tired, but I'm glad the season's over. I'm glad it ended on such a fine football game, and congratulations to Winnipeg again.
Well, congratulations to you, Bernie Ploen, as being chosen the outstanding ball player in the country, and you played yourself a fine ball game. Now, I think Rajay Malash would like to come in. Bernie, I think maybe if you stay here, Rajay Malash of our CBC French Network crew would like to have a few words with you. Rajay?
Well, you certainly don't speak French, Bernie. But I'd like to know when, in your opinion, that you feel that it turned, the stage turn of the ball game.
Well, I think there were 2 turning points, really. The first time is whenever we had the ball with 1 play left in the first half, and it was a bad exchange in the center, and we didn't get our touchdown. We could have possibly scored at that time. That was 1 turning point. And the second one was late in the fourth quarter, when it was 2nd and 30 yards to go. Kenny Ploen came up with the big play, made the first down, they went in to score.
Thank you very much, and congratulations again.
Thanks very kindly.
Comme vous l'avez constaté, Bernie Ploen dit que la défaite du Hamilton est due peut-être au fait qu'il a échappé le ballon à la ligne d'une verge 1 seconde à peine avant la fin de la première demi. Tous les joueurs du Winnipeg sont très heureux et s'accordent à dire que cette victoire est la plus grande jamais rapportée par un club de Winnipeg. Nous avons été très heureux de vous présenter cette partie pour la finale de la Coupe Grey, qui s'est terminée, comme vous le savez, par un compte de 21-14 en faveur de Winnipeg grâce à un beau ralliement. Je désire maintenant vous souhaiter une bien agréable soirée en mon nom personnel, en celui de Michel Normandin, les dépisteurs Jim Allen et Jacques Bellette, et de toute l'équipe technique du réseau français de Radio-Canada. And now over to Don for the interviews in English.
Thank you very much, Rajay. Here we have John Barrow, who played himself a great ball game this afternoon. John, that line play was rugged.
Sure was, Don. It was a heck of a ball game all the way around.
Well, John, when you lose in overtime such as you did this afternoon, there's certainly no disgrace, is there?
Well, it always hurts to lose. Nobody likes to lose. But the Winnipeg Ball Club played excellent football, and you can only say that they deserved to win the game.
Well, John, this Hamilton team made that great comeback against the Toronto Argonauts last weekend, coming from behind an 18-point deficit to win in overtime, and then you went on to go into another overtime ball game. That's getting a little tiresome.
It's a lot of football. And an overtime such as that, as was proven out today and as proven out last week, the person, or the team, I should say, that makes the first touchdown, it has a great psychological effect on the other team.
Thanks very much, John, and congratulations on a fine season,
Thank
despite
you
the
very
fact that you haven't got the Grey Cup with you. Thanks again. And now we're going to call in Jerry McDougall. And Jerry,
how are you, Don?
That was quite a ball game.
Thank you.
Jerry, running into that Winnipeg line, did you find it as tough as
extremely tough
other lines you run into?
Very tough.
But Jerry,
especially Herb Gray.
Jerry, this ball game this afternoon, the Tiger Cats used the pass quite a bit. The last time you played the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you were on the receiving end of a number of short tosses. You didn't run that particular pattern too much this afternoon.
No, that's true. Well, when Larry Hickman got hurt, they moved me back into the fullback position. Therefore, I was taken off the flanker.
Jerry, you've had quite a year in Canadian football. I think you were a runner-up for the Eastern Conference scoring championship. You've also been quite a ground gainer in Eastern Conference football. This year you were quite a pass receiver. Any preference, running the ball or receiving the pass?
I think receiving passes is much easier, and I like that position very much.
Jerry, thanks for chatting with us.
Thank
Jerry
you, Don.
McDougall of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Now we have Don Southern of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Don, that was an awful lot of hard hitting, and you, like Jerry James, were under a lot of pressure with those extra points.
Well, Don, as you all know, that Winnipeg's got a great line, and they put an awful good rush on you, and you got to get the ball off quick and think about keeping your head down and making it, and it's pretty rough.
Any bruises other than cut lip that I noticed?
Oh, I got a fat lip, but outside of that, it's just general bruises, I guess.
Well, Don, anything in that ball game that might possibly have been a turning point as far as you're concerned?
Well, I think that when they got their last touchdown, I went up to the ball. Ernie Pitts run a post on me, what we call a post, a down and in. And instead of going to knock the ball down, I tried to intercept it. And we both had the ball, and we fought for it, and he got it. And it was just one of those things.
Thanks very much for chatting with us, Don Southern of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Now we're calling in Hal Patterson, who has been into the shower and changed to civic clothes. Hal, that ball game and the passing, the receiving of the ends was exceptional this afternoon.
Well, one of those days I dropped a few, though, that I should have had, so I can't claim I caught too many.
Hal, did that injured shoulder bother you this afternoon?
Oh, I knew it was there.
Did it hamper you at all when you were going up for passes?
Oh, no, a fella forgets it more on pass receiving, but when I was blocking, I knew it was there, and the fella don't crack right in there like he should, but I think over the season when I lay off, I'll get back.
Hal, a fine season. Congratulations to you. Now we're going to call in the quarterback of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Kenny Ploen, who saw a little double duty action this afternoon. Kenny, you must be a little weary.
Well, I am, Don, but very happy.
Kenny, that final touchdown run, when you burst into that end zone, there was no doubt you were happy the way you heaved that ball in the end.
Well, I was. It was a play I was supposed to pass on. It happened. I turned and run. I got a couple good blocks, and the first thing you know, you don't know how to explain you're in the end zone, and you have a touchdown, and I was quite happy about it.
You seem to be getting a pretty good rush at times. That Hamilton wall, they were shifting around that defense, it appeared.
Well, I'll say this Hamilton ball club's a real fine ball club. It's pretty rough when you got to come within 8 days and play 2 80-minute ball games like they did, and they had pressure on all day, did a tremendous job. They're a real fine club.
You tried the flea flicker pass on one occasion. It almost worked.
Yes, it did. We have that trouble all the time. We always end up throwing that ball out there with a forward lateral a bit, but maybe we get it to work one of these times.
Kenny, I know you're anxious to get back to the dressing room. Congratulations on a fine season and a fine game. And now, who do we have, Dan? The coaches of the respective clubs. I noticed Bud Grant was sitting down a moment ago and went behind the screen. Jim Trimble. Bud, you referred to this as your greatest ball club in your days as a coach. I guess that statement was verified this afternoon.
Well, we're certainly very proud of them, Don, and we believe this before the game, and we still believe it whether we'd have won or lost or tied or however it turned out. We feel this is our best football team.
Jim Trimble, you made the same statement that this was your greatest football team. I think the boys also verified your statement. They put on a tremendous show.
Yeah, thank you. We felt they did. I couldn't be prouder of them. I think that's when you have to reach down and try to help them out a little bit. They did as well as they could, and they played a fine football team, and we're certainly very proud of them.
Well, the two ball clubs are very much alike in that they both have great offense and great defense, and it was the defensive clubs that came on this afternoon. First of all, I'd like your comment, Jim.
Yes, we think that our defensive team didn't contain that big fullback, Roger Hagberg, too well. I think the method that Bud employed was very intelligent. They ran at us full force, and they wore us down, and we just couldn't come back.
How about it, Bud?
Well, the defense, I think, on both teams has won more ball games than most of us realize. We look at the offensive people, we read about them, but I think Jim will agree that the defense wins at least as many ball games for you, and sometimes a lot more than the offense does. And this, I think, is a tribute to both defensive teams, and I don't know what would have happened if had we played another half or 20 minutes because we were all done.
Yeah, well, we were done before that, just a little bit earlier.
Well, the way that leather was popping, I don't think too many of the fans with the excitement could have lasted either. Bud, congratulations on winning the Grey Cup. Jim, you played a great ball game. Your team came up with a great effort, and congratulations to you. Bud Grant, the coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Jim Trimble, the coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. That just about wraps it up down here in the dressing room area. Now this is Don Whitman returning you upstairs to Doug Maxwell.
Thank you, Don. So there you have the story from downstairs. The story here as we look out over the field is the final cleaning up. The fans have left. The stands are empty. The scoreboard alone signals in the dark the final count, Winnipeg 21, Hamilton 14. The official statistics which have just arrived into the booth indicate the superiority of Winnipeg, a superiority that they built up as the game increased its time toward the final gun. First downs by Winnipeg, a total of 22. They gained 15 rushing, 7 through the air. Hamilton gained 18 first downs, 15 of them by the pass, and only 3 through rushing. And therein may lie the tale of the Hamilton failure today, the fact that they couldn't get their ground attack moving, although they relied mainly on the passing arm of Bernie Ploen. They picked up a total of 311 yards passing to Winnipeg's 204. On the ground, it was a different story. Rushing for Winnipeg 284 yards, Hamilton can only manage a total through the entire game and the overtime of 56 yards. A total offense, therefore, for Winnipeg 488 yards, for Hamilton 367. In the passing department, Kenny Ploen completed 9 of his 17 passes. Hal Ledyard was good for 3 out of 5. Bernie Ploen hit on 24 of the 38 pass attempts he tried. However, it just wasn't good enough to rally the team in those final moments. The kicking, which was such an important part today, both teams having to kick often, and Winnipeg came up with the victory in that department. Jack Delvaux pressed into duty when Charlie Shepard was unable to play, hit for a magnificent average of 43.5 yards on the 14 times that he was required to punt. Cam Fraser and the couple of times that Bernie Ploen punted averaged 40 yards for the 20 punts that they had to kick. And so the game today pretty well evens things up as far as this year is concerned. Hamilton won the lone game that they played in the interlocking schedule back on August the 31st in Winnipeg. The Tiger Cats downed Winnipeg 30-9. Today, the score in overtime, the first overtime in a Grey Cup contest, 21-14 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and the Grey Cup moves from Ottawa back to the west where it has been for the previous couple of years. And so that pretty well winds up our Grey Cup telecast from Newfoundland to British Columbia. Our hope that you enjoyed the game this afternoon as we enjoyed bringing it to you. This is Doug Maxwell on behalf of the CBC crew, Steve Douglas, Don Whitman, Glenn Bjarnason, and Alec Ploen, saying so long from the CNE Stadium in Toronto.
Video by Stan Butts and Doug Potts. Audio, Ray Sansevier. Lighting, Bob Coyle. Switcher, Bill Hewitt.